Chapter 370. The seven of them surrounded Lin Chen from all directions. Although Lin Chen had become the strongest ancient family member this time, there were three heavenly king-tier powerhouses among the seven of them. Ling Yueqi and the others wanted to help Lin Chen, but Lin Chen signaled them with his eyes and they quietly stood behind him. Luo Qingyu stood at the side, frowning slightly. She wanted to help Lin Chen, but she was hesitant. Don't give him a chance to activate his cultivation technique. Attack together! Murong Chongqing formed a seal with his hands, and his mind power swept through the sky like a tsunami. The other six immediately followed Murong Chongqing and activated their cultivation technique. Colorful battle auras filled the sky. The spectating geniuses shook their heads. No one thought that Lin Chen could fight against 7 people at once. Apart from Ning Yunlan, the 7 of them were all ruthless characters. The team they formed could almost do whatever they wanted in the sacred fire realm. You want to get a share of the loot from me? You're dreaming. Lin Chen's shoulders shook and his aura split the sky. He looked disdainfully at the world and intimidated the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Lin Chen had already absorbed 2 sacred fire seed. In addition, his cultivation had reached mid-stage level 9. When he activated the 9 calamities of creation, there was a faint destructive aura. In the blink of an eye, a grayish-white talisman flashed. The mid-grade rune energy in Lin Chen's system immediately decreased by 1 point. It was equivalent to 100 million points of elementary rune energy. Slow rune. Boom! Murong Chongqing and Ling Tian had just sensed that Lin Chen was about to activate that strange secret technique, but they didn't have the chance to react. The rune of deceleration seemed to have frozen the space within a radius of 100 miles. Everyone's battle chi circulation and movement became extremely sluggish. The slow rune this time was a level 4 slow rune. It wouldn't be a problem to seal a few yuan venerates. The expressions of the 7 people present changed drastically. In an instant, the purple phoenix wings spread out. Lin Chen's body was like a thunderbolt, surrounded by endless lightning. The Thunder Calamity battle body was activated. His figure moved slightly, and a thunderous rumble reverberated in the sky. Bang! 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 The 7 of them spat out blood at the same time. The dark dragon's energy that had pierced through their battle chi defenses was crazily attacking them, causing them to suffer heavy injuries on the spot. The dragon's shadow flashed, and the massive dragon body appeared and disappeared mysteriously, instantly appearing in the void. The ancient azure dragon opened its mouth and swallowed Ning Fantian, Ning Yunlan and Shui Hao of the Ning family on the spot. Its dragon power tore them apart and swallowed them into its stomach. The moment it swallowed the 3 of them, it swept its tail and sent Yi Yanxia and Yi Qingyu of the Yi family flying. The palm wrapped in lightning slowly penetrated Murong Chongqing's body. He died with his eyes wide open. With his other hand, he grabbed towards Ling Tian's direction. At the last moment, he condensed all his battle chi into a sword and broke through the restraints of the slowing rune. At the same time, a dazzling spatial light bloomed from his chest, tearing open a spatial crack and taking him away. Crackle! Before he left, one of Ling Tian's arms was caught by Lin Chen's Thunder Calamity energy and crushed into nothingness. Host has received 1 point of mid-grade fire attribute energy, 2 points of mid-grade rune energy, 1 point of mid-grade spirit power, 1 point of mid-grade wind attribute energy. Host has received 1500 heavenly Dao points, 6 points of mid-grade cultivation technique essence, 1300 points of mid-grade battle chi essence, 890 points of mid-grade blood essence. Host has received 6 attribute light balls of cultivation technique, 5 types of high-grade blue rank combat techniques, and 1 type of top-grade combat technique. Lin Chen picked up the dozens of attribute light balls that fell into the void. Although the number of attribute light balls seemed to have decreased, in fact, The increase in attribute points had increased because the ratio of low-grade attribute points to mid-grade attribute points was 100 million points equals 1 point. Lin Chen's expression was so calm that it gave people goosebumps when he casually caught the spirit receiving rings of the few dead geniuses that the ancient azure dragon spat out. It was as if he didn't kill a few people, but a few insects with a casual slap. Silence. A deathly silence. The hundreds of onlookers and even Yan Qianyun fell into a daze. None of the people present could see when Lin Chen had made his move. The speed of his movement technique was completely different from when he was on the Battle Dragon platform. He used a level 4 slowing rune to seal the 7 geniuses. Even the space around them became abnormally stiff, giving them no chance to use their life-saving weapons. After that, his movement technique was so fast that it was beyond everyone's imagination. Before they could react, Ning Yunlan, Ning Fantian and Shui Hao of the 10 great geniuses died under the dragon's mouth. Of the 3 heavenly kings of the 5 great heavenly kings, 1 was dead and 2 were injured. This happened in less than a breath's time. Only 3 of them, who could be said to be the strongest lineup in the Holy Fire Realm, survived. Among the 3 of them, 2 of them seemed to have been saved by Lin Chen's mercy. His strength was just too terrifying. If he had this kind of strength, he would have swept across the Battle Dragon platform. They're dead? It seems like they're really dead. Shui Hao and the other 2 were swallowed by the ancient azure dragon. Even Murong Chongqing was killed by him in an instant. My God. What kind of strength is this? Everyone, including Yan Qianyun, felt a sense of fear and panic in their hearts. The might of Lin Chen's strength already exceeded their scope of understanding. Some of the geniuses thought that he wasn't a young cultivator of this generation at all. Instead, he was an old monster who had disguised himself and sneaked into the Holy Fire Realm. He has become stronger again. After fighting with that descendant of God, he has transformed by a few levels again. Yan Qianyun was shocked. Even though she couldn't see through Lin Chen completely, she was certain that Lin Chen had already shown his true strength when he participated in the Battle Dragon platform. There was only one possibility for him to be so strong now, and that was that he had an amazing fortuitous encounter in the land of dead silence. When encountering a descendant of God, even if one had a great fortuitous encounter, it might still be snatched away. The only thing that could become a fortuitous encounter was perhaps encountering a descendant of God. When an ordinary person encounters a descendant of God, only death awaits them. Not only did he do the opposite, but he also dared to show his claws and teeth to the descendant of God. It's as if he has plundered the descendant of God's luck and grew rapidly. In the records of the Yen family's fortune-teller, there has never been such a person. Perhaps he's more trustworthy than that black star. Yan Qianyun fell into a dilemma. After that, she seemed to have made a huge decision. The way she looked at Lin Chen was extremely determined. Initially, she entered the Holy Fire Realm to look for the owner of the Black Star. However, the owner was a descendant of God. Such a creature treated humans like ants. It was too dangerous to get close to him. Moreover, the so-called God was also not a trustworthy person according to the Yen family's records. However, Lin Chen's extraordinary rise made her feel that he had more potential than a descendant of God. He was also more trustworthy and worthy of her trust. Chapter 371. After killing Murong Chongqing, Lin Chen obtained 1 point of intermediate mind power, which was equivalent to 100 million points of beginner mind power. This was an unprecedentedly high value for mind power. This increased the number of mind seeds in his mind from 15 to 25. The more mind seeds he had, the stronger Lin Chen's mind Dharma idol would be. Although his mind power had increased, he was still a distance away from reaching the mid-4 phase Dharma idol. Through this battle, Lin Chen was once again certain that his combat strength had improved by leaps and bounds with the version 4.0 attribute picking system. Previously, Lin Chen's combat strength was at most comparable to an ordinary mid-second level Yuan Venerate or even a late second level Yuan Venerate. Now, he was not afraid even if he faced an early third level Yuan Venerate. Although he was not confident that he could defeat the purple-robed young man if he faced him again, at least he would not be as pathetic as before. Han Yizhi and the others were happy for Lin Chen from the bottom of their hearts. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows playfully when he saw that Yan Qianyun was staring at him with a different gaze than before. "What's wrong, Beauty Yan? Are you smitten with my handsome face? Let's make things clear first. You can like me, but you can't fall in love with me." Yan Qianyun covered her mouth and chuckled before speaking seriously. "Lin Chen, are you willing to cooperate with me? Let's escape from the disaster that is about to befall the spiritual state." Yan Qianyun's words were so shocking that Lin Chen was dumbfounded. Cooperation? Escape? Why did it sound like elopement? She waved her hand gently and created a space barrier to protect everyone. Yan Qianyun revealed her purpose for entering the Holy Fire Realm. 10 years ago, a certain elder of the Yan clan divined the fate of the heavens. That elder was originally just helping Yan Qianyun to predict her future. However, he had not expected to use Yan Qianyun's future to see the disaster that was about to befall the spiritual state. In the near future, the spiritual state would undergo an earth-shattering change within a certain period of time. It could be a few years, a dozen years, or even 100 years. This earth-shattering upheaval had many hidden mysteries. Many storms would converge into a disaster that would involve all the ancient families in the chaotic storm. As for the Yan family, it was possible that they would face a calamity. It was possible that even his only successor would be buried. The only way to avoid this disaster and preserve a trace of hope was to find the Black Star in Yan Qianyun's fate. When Yan Qianyun grew up, she would have to predict her own fate. The Black Star would lead her to Holy Fire level. The true form of the Black Star was that descendant of God. No one had expected this outcome. However, the descendants of the gods were too illusory. They had always thought highly of themselves and disdained to associate with mortals. If one approached them rashly, it was very likely that they would end up in a miserable state. But then, a fateless Lin Chen had appeared out of nowhere. Not only did he display his extraordinary splendor on the Battle Dragon platform, he even dared to bare his claws and fangs at the descendant of a god. This caused Yan Qianyun to change her target to Lin Chen. Perhaps he would do even better than the descendant of a god. He was also more worthy of Yan Qianyun's trust. Although Lin Chen was still a distance away from the descendant of a god, it was not difficult to see Lin Chen's insane growth speed from the Battle Dragon Ring until now. Therefore, Yan Qianyun changed her original plan. She would choose Lin Chen to help the Yan family and herself avoid the chaotic storm that would occur in the spiritual state in the future. So that guy really is a descendant of a god. Damn it, no wonder he has some skills. But I, Lin Chen, am not someone to be trifled with now. After hearing Yan Qianyun's explanation, Lin Chen touched his chin and came to a realization. The 3 people next to him were shocked and dumbfounded. Lin Chen actually fought with the descendant of a god? This was too crazy. This was something that no one would even dare to think about. Class rep, you're my idol. Han Yizhi was like an innocent child. Her bright eyes sparkled as she stared at Lin Chen longingly. Lin Chen lifted Han Yizhi's white chin and said in a deep voice, "Don't be infatuated with the class representative. Your class rep is just a legend." Han Yizhi's little face turned red, and the redness reached her ears. Han Ziyun and Ling Yueqi beside her asked worriedly in unison, "Won't this cause trouble? The opponent is a descendant of a god." Thinking of the opponent's background, such a supreme existence was like an ant trying to shake a tree compared to any ancient family in the spiritual state. "I don't think so. He will definitely offend the descendant of a god, but the descendant of a god always looks down on us mortals and thinks that we are not on the same level as them." If the fact that Lin Chun escaped from his hands is exposed, it will be a loss to his reputation. So as long as Lin Chun doesn't appear in front of him again, it shouldn't be a big problem. Yan Qianyun smiled sweetly. This was also the reason why she bet on Lin Chun. The descendant of a god in the legends would never use his power for a mortal. This action was equivalent to insulting a creature of his level. Okay, I got the gist of it. In short, you are attracted by my charisma and want to elope with me. Oh no, you want to cooperate with me to avoid the disaster of the spiritual state. Then, please show me your sincerity. Lin Chun rubbed his chin and looked at Yan Qianyun's curvy figure with a naughty smile. Yan Qianyun looked at him in confusion and then looked at herself. She said with a faint smile, "Prince Lin Chun, do you want to see it?" "Of course I want to." Before he could finish, two beautiful figures stood in front of Yan Qianyun and smiled at Lin Chun. Lin Qingxing immediately said seriously, "Of course, I won't even think about it. Do you think a gentleman like me would do such a shameless thing?" Yan Qianyun giggled and said with a serious face, "If you are sincere, I can calculate a lot of information for you. For example, I can calculate the natural treasures you want to get, the places you want to go, and even how many seeds of the holy fire one person can absorb." Yan Qianyun's words caused Lin Chun to rejoice as he asked with interest, "How many seeds of the holy fire can I absorb?" I can't tell if you are the only one. However, your two confidants and good friends can each absorb 2 seeds of the holy fire. This big sister can absorb 3 seeds, right?" Yan Qianyun pointed at Ling Yueqi and said seriously. Hearing this, Lin Chun took out all 7 seeds of the holy fire from his storage ring and gave them to the 3 of them. At this moment there was no one around. When Yan Qianyun and Lin Chun were talking, all the geniuses had left. They were afraid that Lin Chun would vent his anger on them and kill them too. This holy fire seed? Yan Qianyun's eyes suddenly changed as she looked at Lin Chun in shock. She found that the holy fire seed that Lin Chun took out didn't have that wisp of eerie consciousness. It had become the purest energy of the holy fire. Chapter 372. You purified those saints. Yan Qianyun wanted to say something but stopped. She covered her mouth with her hand as if she was afraid that she would say something wrong. However, the shock in her eyes was getting stronger. She had never seen or heard of such a thing before. There was actually someone in this world who could evolve the holy fire seed with a hidden conspiracy? Yan Qianyun felt that choosing Lin Chun was a wise decision. Seeing Yan Qianyun's shock, Lin Chun looked at the sky gloomily and mumbled softly. "Sigh, I'm so annoyed. Sometimes, because I'm too handsome, people often forget about my strengths and specialties. Actually, my specialties are really my specialties." 3 days later, in the Zhenyu Mountains in the southern region of the Holy Fire Territory. The terrain of the Zhenyu Mountains was very mysterious. Those who entered the area would be unable to fly due to the strong earth energy. The strong earth energy caused the gravity to increase exponentially. Those who entered the core of the mountains would most likely be crushed into meat paste by the high quality of the earth energy. At this moment, a Class 6 Xuanwu draconic tortoise fell outside the mountains. 2 young prodigies from the Mo family were successfully rescued. They looked at the young man who had entered the mountains after killing the Xuanwu draconic tortoise with admiration and longing. He walked in the mountains. Upon closer inspection, his steps were as fast as the wind and his palms were constantly moving. Upon closer inspection, he was actually running all over the mountains with a basketball. He was ignoring the terrifying gravity. Who else could it be other than Mr. Lin? Who else could it be? He collected all the earth element light balls in the Zhenyu Mountains and left in a carefree manner. 5 days later, a similar scene occurred in the Chilly Wind Canyon. The grayish-white wind blades that erupted from the eye of the fallen wind cave were powerful enough to easily penetrate the defense of a first-level Yuan Venerate. However, many prodigies witnessed it. On that day, there were even people singing, dancing, and playing basketball in the Eye of the Fallen Wind Cave. However, Lin Fan, who was in the Eye of the Fallen Wind Cave, discovered the secret of the eye. It was actually connected to a brand new space tunnel. According to Yan Qianyun's prediction, the space tunnel would lead to an area in the spiritual state. Another 3 days later. Finally, a space rainbow crossed the sky of the Holy Fire territory. It was the light of the space exit. The Holy Fire level dimensional tunnel appeared in an ancient city in the southern region. All of the geniuses moved closer to the exit and began to step into the space tunnel, leaving the Holy Fire level one by one. The passage would only be open for 5 days. If they missed it, they would be stuck on Holy Fire level. Only those who broke through to the Yuan Venerate realm after the Sacred Fire realm closed would be teleported away by the heavenly Tao laws. However, the Holy Fire level would be covered in spirit-engulfing fog after it was closed. This kind of mental fog posed a fatal threat to the human race's mental strength. Those with low mental strength could easily suffer from qi deviation. To any prodigy, staying in the Holy Fire realm was a dead end. Outside the ancient city, Lin Chen's group arrived. "Lin Chen, are you really not coming with us?" Han Ziyun said reluctantly. Lin Chen shrugged and said with a smile, "Yes, I have something important to do here. Once it's done, I'll leave immediately." Lin Chen had killed 4 grade 6 ferocious beasts during this period of time and tossed all of their cores to the ancient azure dragon for absorption. Apart from that, he had also obtained 13 holy fire seed. Including the one he had obtained with Leng Yueqi, he had a total of 19. With Yan Qianyun, the ancient fortune-teller, and Lin Chen's purple-gold pupil, it was a combination of the strong and the strong. The remaining holy fire seeds in the holy fire level's probing area were almost all taken by the 2 of them. As for the young man in purple, it was as if he had vanished into thin air. Lin Chen did not encounter him again. "Be careful, class monitor," Han Yizhi said worriedly. There were too many secrets in the Holy Fire level. In the past, there had been too many outstanding prodigies who had stayed here. They had either broken through to the Yuan Venerate realm within a limited time or never come out again. Apart from that, after Lin Chen killed Murong Changxing, the mystical demon catalog he had left behind had surprisingly chosen Han Yizhi, who had a virtual spirit constitution. After Yan Qianyun verified that the item would not be harmful to Han Yizhi, Lin Chen officially handed it over to Han Yizhi. He believed that in the near future, Han Yizhi might be even more outstanding than Murong Changxing. "Take good care of him." Leng Yueqi stared at Yan Qianyun seriously. The latter smiled sweetly and nodded slightly. After watching the 3 of them enter the space tunnel, Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun left the ancient city. "What do you plan to do next?" Yan Qianyun asked Lin Chen as she brushed aside a strand of her hair. "Let's find a place to go into seclusion first. I want to absorb the holy fire seeds and see if I can break through to the Yuan Venerate realm." Lin Chen's eyes were filled with intense anticipation. If he could step into the Yuan Venerate realm, his combat strength would undergo earth-shattering changes. Both of them had transcendent spirit, so it would not be a problem for them to stay in the Holy Fire realm for a short period of time. Once there were any problems, Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun would retreat to the space tunnel connected to the Wind Eye in the Hailwind Canyon and leave. In a short 3 days, almost all the prodigies had left the Holy Fire realm. When the Holy Fire realm closed, all the Holy Fire seeds would be sealed and hidden away until the next time the Holy Fire realm opened. Only then would it reappear. Lin Chen found 2 places similar to the Tiangang Golden Thunder Zone based on Yan Qianyun's prediction. They were the Hailwind Canyon and the Jinyue mountain range. Lin Chen obtained 10 attribute light balls from these 2 dangerous places. These 10 attribute light balls seemed very little, but each of them was of extremely high quality and had 1 point of intermediate wind or earth energy. Now, Lin Chun had 13 points of intermediate earth energy and 14 points of intermediate wind energy. He had a total of wind calamity, thunder calamity, earth calamity, and metal calamity bodies. His combat strength had soared by more than a level. In the void realm, in a yang altar that rose into the sky, the beautiful woman stood on the yang altar with her head raised. She was so beautiful that she looked like a pure and flawless lotus blooming. Space rippled slightly, as if some supreme existence had arrived in this world. Qing Xian, you said you're going to the conference? In the void, a few eyes were staring at the purple-clothed woman, and an old man questioned her doubtfully. The purple-clothed woman looked calm as she nodded slightly. After a while, the old man's hoarse voice came from the void again. Fine, go if you want to go. However, Qing Xian, remember that you are the luckiest woman in the entire spiritual state. You may be blessed by God and become the concubine of the Supreme God. I hope you know what your actions mean and don't do unnecessary things. These words made the peerless beauty's delicate body tremble slightly. Her eyes that were as beautiful as stars revealed a rare trace of complex emotions. Qing Xian understands. Thank you for your reminder, Elder. The peerless beauty replied indifferently and slowly retreated. The entire yang altar once again regained its eternal silence. The only change was the teardrop that was about to disappear on the steps of the yang altar. Chapter 373. The more top blue rank combat skills I collect, the higher the chances of a blue rank combat skill appearing. Inside a secluded valley, Lin Chun turned off the system after learning about the fusion function again. I'll save up a little more. In the future, I'll fuse more than 10 or 20 top-tier blue-rank combat skills together. Who knows, I might even be able to fuse a purple-tier battle skill. Level 4 Purple 11 was a legendary cultivation technique that countless Yuan venerates pursued for their entire lives. Let's absorb the holy flame seed first. Lin Chun glanced at Yan Qianyun, who was sitting not far away. At this moment, she was also absorbing the sacred fire seed. Yan Qianyun's cultivation was at the middle stage of the quasi-monarch stage. She wouldn't have come into contact with the sacred flame seed, but Lin Chun was able to get rid of the will inside. In the holy fire realm that was about to close, this place was extremely suitable for the two of them to cultivate in seclusion. Let's try and break through to the Yuan Venerate in one go. Lin Chun placed the two holy flame seeds in front of him, grabbed one, and refined it into his body. Time passed, and it was the day when the holy fire level would be closed. Boom! An intense spatial fluctuation spread throughout the holy fire level, and the spatial tunnel disappeared completely. The entire holy fire level was engulfed in a spirit-engulfing phantom mist. Within a day, the light purple mist covered the entire holy fire level. It was everywhere. When the spirit-devouring illusory mist rose, everything fell silent as if all the living beings within the holy fire realm had fallen into a deep sleep. If one's spiritual power wasn't at the mid-stage of the spirit transformation realm, they wouldn't be able to last a day in the illusionary fog. It was very likely that they would experience cultivation deviation on the day they entered the fog. Moreover, even if he had the mental strength of a mid-stage spirit transformation realm cultivator, he would only be able to last for 1.5 months. The spirit-devouring illusory mist would become thicker and thicker as time passed. In the end, whether it was the late stage of the spirit transformation realm or the peak of the spirit transformation realm, even those in the early, middle, or late transcendence realm wouldn't be able to maintain their rationality here. It was only a matter of time. Time passed quietly in the quiet holy fire realm. Other than the increasingly dense illusory fog, there were no other changes. Lin Chun took 10 days to absorb the third sacred flame seed. The fourth was 15 days, the fifth was 25 days, the sixth was 35 days, and the seventh was 50 days. The eighth one took 70 days, and the ninth one took 110 days. A total of 315 days. Including the time when Lin Chun had achieved holy fire level, it had been a year. This year, the spiritual state was in a state of turmoil, and heroes were everywhere. The most popular academy was Heavenly Song Academy. Within this 1 year, Heavenly Song Academy had produced purple merit level geniuses one after another. As for the legends about Lin Chun, they had never stopped. Some said that he was the reincarnation of the War Emperor, while some said that he was an old monster who had disguised himself as a young man to enter the holy fire level. Some scoundrels even used Lin Chun's name to cheat people in the spiritual state, and they didn't have a good ending after being caught. No matter what, it was a fact that Lin Chun had killed many geniuses of the ancient families. Although there was a rule between the ancient families on the surface that any battle or personal grudge that happened in the Holy Fire territory could not involve the ancient families were not allowed to be involved. However, the Murong clan, who had lost one of the 4 heavenly kings, would not let the matter rest. They had attacked the Lin clan many times. Because Lin Chun was the Lung clan's representative, he was able to enter the Holy Fire territory directly because of the Lung clan. The Ning clan, the Shui clan, and the Bai clan had also secretly allied with the Murong clan to make things difficult for the Lung clan. Although Heavenly Song Academy had sided with the Lung clan in time, the undercurrents between the two sides had become more and more intense this year. And the most important person, Lin Chun, had yet to appear. Spiritual state, Sacred Sun Palace. A frost chi dragon was lying in the sky above the palace, breathing in and out frost dragon breath that could condense ice and scatter snow. Apart from that, there were also 2 dragon fire chilins. They stepped on fire and roared, releasing a domineering aura that could dominate the wilderness. Many disciples of the Sacred Sun Palace were suffocated by the aura of the 3 rank 6 monsters. Inside the sacred hall, a handsome young man stood proudly with his hands behind his back. There was an innate nobility between his brows, causing some female disciples of the Sacred Sun Palace to throw flirtatious glances at him. In the eyes of the handsome and noble young man, there was only the gentle and elegant woman in the palace. Tianqi Saint Sun, I'm sorry, but Manqing is already taken. If it were any other woman in the Sacred Sun Palace, you can choose. The 2 old women in the palace said helplessly. No, I fell in love with Miss Yun Manqing at first sight at Liang Lake. Elders, please grant my wish. Also, I wonder if Miss Yun Manqing's partner is worthy of her? Bai Tianqi's lips curled into a confident smile. At the same time, a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. He, the saint's son, had personally proposed marriage. If he was rejected, he would lose all face. The people of the Sacred Sun Palace understood this. Although they were one of the top forces in the first-rate forces, they couldn't afford to offend the saint's son, who had been famous for a long time. The elders broke out in cold sweat. Wasn't Yun Manqing's partner Lin Chun? How could he compare to the legendary Tianqi saint's son? The spiritual state had more than 1 trillion people, and there were more than 100,000 or 1,000,000 people named Lin Chun. 1.5 years ago, Lin Chun had only been a heaven's strength realm cultivator. No matter how heaven-defying he was, he couldn't compare to a saint. Therefore, they believed that the Lin Chun who had been spreading like wildfire in the spiritual state in the past year couldn't possibly be the same person. No, my partner is more outstanding than anyone else. Yun Manqing stepped forward and smiled sweetly as if she was thinking about him. Because his name is Lin Chun. Upon hearing this name, Bai Tianqi's eyes suddenly emitted a terrifying murderous intent. Your partner is actually called Lin Chun? In the secret valley of the Holy Fireland. When Lin Chun was refining the 8th Holy Fire Seed, Yan Qianyun had already finished absorbing the Holy Fire Seed. She had absorbed a total of 4 Holy Fire Seed. Her talent was heaven-defying. She had tested her limit. Refining 5 Holy Fire Seeds was her limit, but she couldn't absorb any more for the time being. This was because if she refined another Holy Fire Seed, she would become a Yuan Venerate on the spot and be forcefully teleported away. She was even more shocked when she waited beside Lin Chen. Lin Chen actually absorbed 9 holy fire seed. Oh my god, this has never happened in the history of the spiritual state, right? No wonder he dared to fight against the descendant of God. He is indeed qualified to bet on the future of the Yin family. Yan Qianyun was delighted, but her expression soon turned serious. However, it has been almost a year. The soul-engulfing illusionary mist here can already cause someone with perfect spirit transformation realm cultivation to go berserk. We don't have much time left. As soon as she finished speaking, a pure and domineering battle aura shot into the sky. F***CK. Just a little bit more. I was so close to becoming a Yuan Venerate. Lin Chen's swearing voice echoed throughout the valley. His aura was several times stronger than it had been a year ago. The moment he stepped out of the cliff, 9 pale white sacred marks flashed between his eyebrows. The 9 sacred marks formed the shape of a kaleidoscope and flickered slightly before disappearing. Chapter 374. At that moment, the 9-colored battle spirit had completely disappeared from Lin Chen's dantian. In its place was a 9-colored natal palace with vast energy. The interior of the natal palace contained mountains and oceans as if it was a small world of its own. After 10.5 months of seclusion, Lin Chen's cultivation had advanced from mid-stage Heaven Dipper 9 to peak Quasi-Venerate. The Battle Chi natal palace in Lin Chen's dantian was already 4/5 complete. The embryonic form of the Battle Chi natal palace was very complete, and he was just one step away from becoming a Yuan Venerate. Although he still had sacred fire seeds, refining 9 of them was already Lin Chen's limit. If he absorbed another one, Lin Chen had a feeling that there was a 99% chance that his body would not be able to withstand it. Apart from that, there was also a small green dragon lying in the 9-colored natal palace. It was Lin Chen's ancient green dragon. Previously, Lin Chen had killed 4 Class 6 ferocious beasts, and their flesh and cores had been devoured by the ancient green dragon. After a year of accumulation and with Lin Chen's help in refining the energy from the cores, the ancient green dragon's dragon veins had broken through to 1,000. Finally, it stopped at 1,250 dragon veins, and its pure strength had reached 12,500 dragon power. Its combat strength was close to the mid-stage Heaven Dipper 9. Forget it. I still have things to do in the Holy Fire territory anyway. Peak Quasi-Venerate it is. Lin Chen comforted himself. Yan Qianyun covered her mouth and chuckled as she hovered in front of him. Then, Prodigy Lin, shall we leave the Holy Fire territory now? No, I still have a place to go. Lin Chen was in high spirits as he smiled excitedly. That place was the 100 Venerate tomb. When he had faced the 100 Venerate tomb's living beings, he had not been able to resist them at all. Now that his strength had undergone an earth-shattering change, he wanted to explore the tomb. Underworld region, 20,000 feet under the sea. A huge tomb that spanned across the entire seabed appeared before the 2 of them. Lin Chen found the location of the stone door. Although the stone door was tightly shut, the crack was still there. Inside the crack, there was a thin layer of membrane that kept the seawater out, preventing it from entering the stone door. Open! The 6th layer of the dark dragon energy angrily struck out, and Lin Chen's palm shattered the stone door. Inside the stone door, there was still the tunnel filled with the rotting acid. It seems to be the remains of an ancient creature. Because its life force was not completely extinguished, some organs and parts of the body were still alive. Yan Qianyun was surprised and followed Lin Chen into the passage. This time, his entry was unimpeded. The stone door was broken, but there was no reaction from the tomb. After a few flashes, Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun arrived at the previous area. In this murky, lava-like world, blazing blood flowed in all directions. Dozens of wriggling meatballs that were as thick as jade pillars were pulsating. Yan Qianyan frowned. No girl would like this kind of place. Why would Lin Chen come here? The blood and qi inside were condensed together, binding a ball of blood. Other than the 2 that Lin Chen took away last time, there were still 7 left. 7 meatballs, all condensed into a high-quality blood and qi attribute ball. Lin Chen's palm struck out a few times, and the invincible Gung Jin energy swept across like snowflakes, cutting all the blood balls. The meatballs exploded, and 7 attribute light balls rolled down. Lin Chen quickly kept the attribute light balls, and the system screen popped up. Host has received 2,000 mid-grade blood and qi energy, 50 Heaven's Path points, 2,500 mid-grade blood and qi energy. A sea of blood and qi energy began to flow into Lin Chen's body. He was not afraid and absorbed all of it into his body. Previously, a single blood and qi attribute light ball here had almost broken Lin Chen's blood and qi absorption limit. Now that he had been tempered by the 9 holy fire seeds, not to mention 7 attribute light balls, even if he absorbed 70 of them together, Lin Chen would be able to refine them without any pressure. His pure strength increased from 7,200 dragon power points to 8,000, 9,000, and so on. Roar! The roar shook the entire seabed, and the living beings in the tomb seemed to be in great pain, waking up from their slumber. The area Lin Chen was in began to explode with large amounts of acid and blood. The 2 of them immediately activated their battle qi to defend against the surging blood. 2 huge creatures began to emerge from the surging blood. It was the 2 sky scarlet pythons. Oh! 2 sky scarlet pythons comparable to late-stage first-level Yuan Venerate. Yan Qianyan's expression turned serious, but Lin Chen waved his hand, indicating that there was no need for her to do anything. Boom! A terrifying aura was released from Lin Chen's body, causing endless waves of blood to surge. His strength had broken through 10,000 dragon power, and he had officially stepped into the Venerate realm. After reaching 10,000 dragon power, his pure strength was still rising. The 2 sky scarlet pythons roared and charged over. Lin Chen released the ancient green dragon to fight one of the sky scarlet pythons. Lin Chen activated his wind calamity battle body and took a step forward with the Hell King step. Whoosh! His figure tore through the void as Lin Chen swept to the top of the sky scarlet pythons' heads. Without even activating the charging rune, Lin Chen's 7-fold dark dragon energy dark dragon palm landed on the sky scarlet pythons' heads. Chi! Bang! The first sky scarlet python exploded on the spot. The second sky scarlet python was bound by the ancient green dragon, and Lin Chen killed it in 2 moves. The ancient green dragon bared its fangs and claws, biting and swallowing the sky scarlet python's cores. It didn't even let go of the flesh and blood on their bodies. This place seems to be collapsing. Yan Qianyan frowned. Wait a moment, I'll be back soon, Lin Chen said as he covered his body with battle qi and dived into the pool of blood where the sky scarlet pythons had appeared. He could vaguely see a green attribute light ball at the bottom of the pool of blood. Yan Qianyan stood where she was, her slender hands dancing in the air. 2 jade-like battle qi hands appeared, hundreds of feet tall, supporting the blood wall that was constantly shrinking. The blood pool was extremely hot, even hotter than the lava in the Earth's core. Even though Lin Chen's entire body was covered with battle qi, his forehead was still dripping with sweat. It's getting closer and closer. Lin Chen saw that the green attribute light ball at the bottom of the blood pool was getting brighter and brighter. Lightning flashed all over his body. Lin Chen, who had activated his Thunder Calamity battle body, increased his speed by a few notches. In 2 flashes, he had rushed to the bottom of the vast blood pool. What entered Lin Chen's eyes was a palm-sized crystal core fragment. It was dark red in color. Other than that, right above the crystal core fragment was a green treasure chest decorated with beautiful crystal jades. This was the first time Lin Chen had seen a treasure chest like this. This crystal core fragment is part of a high-tier vicious beast's core. Lin Chen's eyes lit up as he kept the dark red crystal core fragment. Then, when his palm touched the green crystal treasure chest, the system's screen suddenly popped up. Host has opened the green crystal treasure chest. Received passive talent, reinforced iron bones. 100 talent points. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. He had received a new talent so quickly. Chapter 375. This new talent made Lin Chen's eyes light up. In the many battles in the past, Lin Chen's recovery rate was many times faster than ordinary prodigies. Apart from the fact that he had the primordial water scripture, a large part of the reason was that his physical shell was stronger than most of the Sky Prides. Defensive means were important, but when facing a strong enemy, if the defensive artifact or defensive battle technique were broken through, it would be fatal. For someone like Lin Chen, even if his defense was broken, he still had a certain amount of defensive and recovery ability. If coupled with the reinforced Iron Bones talent, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. This trip is really worth it. It's time to leave. Lin Chen suppressed the ecstasy in his heart. Since he had gotten his target, there was no need to hold back. The moment the purple phoenix wings spread and activated the astral trampling battle thunder, Lin Chen's body flashed like thousands of lightning shadows. 1,000 lightning shadows! Not even leaving behind an afterimage, Lin Chen's figure seemed to have jumped through space. In just a breath, he rushed out of the blood pool. Ignoring the squirming flesh walls around him, Lin Chen put the ancient azure dragon, which had just swallowed 2 sky scarlet pythons, back into his body. Then, he grabbed Yan Qianyun and quickly rushed out of the exit. The 1,000 lightning shadows combined with the purple phoenix wings' speed was as fast as light and shadow. In a few flashes, they left the tomb before an afterimage could condense. Boom! Blood burst out from the tomb and scattered on the seabed. The aura was getting weaker and weaker. At that moment, the ancient azure dragon was refining the 2 ferocious beast cores and the sky scarlet python's flesh. However, after advancing to stage 6, the ancient azure dragon's growth rate would no longer be as crazy as before after consuming stage 6 ferocious beast's flesh and ferocious beast cores. Lin Chen threw the ferocious beast core fragment to the ancient azure dragon. The energy contained in the fragment caused the ancient azure dragon to enter a state of deep sleep. This ferocious beast core fragment is quite extraordinary. It might even be a peak stage 6 ferocious beast core when complete. Lin Chen was secretly shocked. What did you do? Its last strand of vitality seems to be disappearing, and it's heading towards destruction. In the deep sea, Yan Qianyun transmitted her voice curiously. I took its vicious beast core fragment. Maybe it's because of this. A sense of relief emerged in Lin Chen's heart. Not long after, the tomb of the 100 sovereigns might no longer exist. Senior Jin Xiehua, your enemy can be considered to be completely dead. I didn't let your legacy down. Lin Chen silently said in his heart for the senior that he had never met. Then, he left the netherworld sea. In the giant holy city of the spiritual state, where 1 billion people live. You've gone too far. Giant Spirit City is the territory of our Han family passed down from generation to generation. How can it be taken over by your Bai family? In the city lord mansion of the giant holy city, the arrogant attitude of the 4 people in the hall made the elders of the Han family furious. Your Han family is no longer an ancient family. What qualifications do you have to be in charge of an area rich in resources like Giant Spirit City? Do you really think that you can turn the tables by sending 1 or 2 rascals into the holy fire level and survive? The young man in white crossed his arms in front of his chest and glanced at the beauty in a long dress next to him. He sneered sarcastically. The young man in white carried a sword on his back, and a crimson chain-like sword aura hung above his head. It was so magnificent that it could swallow mountains and rivers. I don't care what you think. 4 days later, the Bai family will send someone to take over Giant Holy City. All of you from the Han family must get lost immediately." The young man in white was unforgiving, and his tone was sharp. The Han family members present were angry but did not dare to say anything. This person was the most famous Heavensward saint of the Bai family in recent times, Bai Xingfeng. He could move mountains and seas with one sword, kill dozens of venerables, and frighten ghosts and gods. When the Bai family members left, the entire city lord mansion fell into an extremely oppressive atmosphere. In the Thousand Moon Valley, one of the territories of the Lung family, thousands of layers of snow covered the valley like frost, and intense ice energy surrounded it. At this moment, in a training field, there were reinforced spatial crystal walls everywhere. The geniuses of the Ning family and the Murong family gathered here, looking at the Ling family members opposite them mockingly. In the training field, a beautiful and cold beauty stood proudly. Blood dyed her clothes red, making her look sad and cold. At this moment, the Ling family elder stood in front of the beauty and immediately shouted, "Enough! You've already won. Why are you still humiliating Miss Yuechi?" Another woman in the training field had an exquisite figure. There was a hint of jealousy on her enchanting and charming face as she sneered. "Did you see clearly, B***TCH? Do you really think that you can contend with me just because you've entered Holy Fire level? Hurry up and get lost from Thousand Moon Valley. This place has long been a cultivation secret area jointly formed by the Murong family and the Ning family." When the Ling family geniuses heard Ling Yuechi being scolded, they were instantly furious. They stood up one after another. The Ning family members also stood up immediately. There was a tendency for a fight to break out at the scene. "Forget it, we won't argue with them. If they want to occupy Thousand Moon Valley, then let them have it." The Ling family elder stopped all the young people and said with a heavy expression. Although the elders were not convinced, Ling Yuechi was still injured at this moment. If they fought head-on and something happened to Ling Yuechi, they could not bear the responsibility. Because the Murong family had lost Murong Chongqing's Murong family and 2 of the top 10 geniuses, the Ning family was about to fall out with the Ling family. Holy Fire Territory, Chilly Wind Canyon. Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun arrived at the eye of the Fallen Wind Cave. The light of the space tunnel flickered slightly. After leaving the 100 Graves Palace, Lin Chen's pure strength had reached 13,000 dragon power. System: I want to consume 100 talent points to strengthen reinforced iron bones. System receive. 100 talent points consumed. Reinforced iron bones increased by 1%. A strange and unique warm current circulated around Lin Chen's body. He could clearly feel that the defense of his flesh shell had become stronger. Only he could feel the change brought about by the strengthening of his talent. Yan Qianyun beside him also did not notice it. Lin Chen was a little dazed. Before entering the Holy Fire level, he could only run away when facing a Yuan Venerate. Before the system's version 4.0 update, Lin Chen's maximum combat strength was equivalent to the mid-stage or late-stage second-level Yuan Venerate. After the version 4.0 update, Lin Chen could fight a beginner or mid-stage third-level Yuan Venerate with the help of the level 4 characteristic rune. However, his combat strength was limited by the attribute value of the characteristic rune. Now that he was at the peak of Quasi-Venerate, Lin Chen did not need to rely on the characteristic rune. He could fight a third-level Yuan Venerate with just a few calamity combat bodies and pure strength. At this moment, Yan Qianyun spoke. "We don't know where this space tunnel leads to in the spiritual state. It might even teleport us to a ferocious beast's lair." Yan Qianyun glanced at Lin Chen and smiled casually. "It's okay. Since a large amount of fallen wind is teleported to the Holy Fire level, the other end might also be where the fallen wind energy gathers." The two of them smiled at each other and activated their defensive combat skills before leaping into the space tunnel. space shift, stellar transposition, and the two disappeared into the spatial tunnel. The moment before Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun disappeared, they did not notice that two red lights suddenly flashed in the holy fire level, which was filled with the devouring illusionary mist. It was as if a pair of eyes was watching the two of them leave. After that, the red lights disappeared and the holy fire level returned to a state of silence, as if nothing had happened. Chapter 376. 3 days later. The Nine Dragons mountain range was thousands of miles away from Giant Holy City. The mountain range was shaped like 9 intertwined dragons. 2 young figures flew out of the mountain range. They were Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun. I didn't expect to get 2 light balls of wind attribute. This is not a loss. Lin Chen looked at his 16 points of intermediate wind attribute energy with satisfaction. Tens of thousands of miles away, there is a strong smell of human life. It should be a large-scale town. Let's go and find out where we are in the spirit state. Yan Qianyun withdrew her gaze and smiled sweetly. In the afternoon, Giant Holy City, Yunxian Pavilion. Got it. This is the territory of the Han family, Giant Holy City. It's quite far from Tiange Academy. In Yunxian Pavilion, Yan Qianyun covered her face with a veil and smiled sweetly to Lin Chen beside her. Hey beauty, what you said is wrong. From today on, this is the territory of our Bai family. At this time, 3 middle-aged men came over and laughed mockingly. They sat opposite Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun. All 3 of them were Heaven Dipper Realm Level 7 powerhouses with the symbol of the Bai family engraved on their chests. Seeing these 3 people, everyone in the restaurant was silent and didn't dare to say a word. Even the shopkeeper of Yunxian Pavilion was the same. Little girl, why are you covering your face? Take it off and let Master Hu see. Little girl, why are you with this guy? Follow me, Master Hu, and I guarantee you will live a good life in the southern district of Giant Holy City. Bai Yinhu, who had 2 scars on his face, laughed and looked at the beautiful woman's slender legs. Even with the clothes covering the slender legs, there was still an indescribable beauty. Bai Yinhu revealed a greedy and lewd smile. Lin Chen didn't make a move. He just drank his wine and winked at Yan Qianyun. Yan Qianyun understood and chuckled while covering her mouth. You are from the Bai family? Why are you here? Miss, don't you know? This is the territory of our Bai family. This trash Han family is not even an ancient family. What qualifications do they have to rule Giant Holy City? As soon as he said that, many people in the restaurant glared angrily. The Han family had been in charge of Giant Spirit City for a long time. They had never mistreated the merchants and people here. Everyone regarded the Han family as their master. Our Bai family is the new master of Giant Spiritual City. The 2 men behind Bai Yinhu said in unison. Then, what about the Lun clan? Yan Qianyun asked curiously. Bai Yinhu laughed mockingly. The Lun clan? Our Bai clan's Heaven's Word Saint Sun is personally overseeing the Giant Spiritual City. Those trash from the Lun clan are probably packing up their things in the city lord's mansion and preparing to scram. After hearing this, Lin Chen was suddenly enlightened. He stretched out his hand and slowly clenched it into a fist in front of the 3 people. Bai Yinhu asked with a frown, puzzled. What is this? Have you ever seen a fist as big as a sandbag? Bang, bang, bang. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 of them were sent flying like lightning. Blood splattered everywhere as they were sent flying by Lin Chen's fist. Their teeth were shattered. Many masters in the restaurant looked at Lin Chen in surprise and astonishment. Who was this young man? He sent 3 Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 7 masters flying with one move, and they were from the Bai family. Lin Chen flicked his finger, and 3 streams of dragon force shot out, shattering the dantian of the 3 people. Many masters were dumbfounded. He dared to cripple the Bai family? Didn't he know the trend in Giant Spiritual City? They were from the ancient families that even the first-rate forces had to bow their heads to. Yan Qianyun wasn't surprised at all. She asked with a smile, "What's next?" "Of course, I'm going to smash the Heaven's Word Saint Sun. I, Lin Chen, don't care about life and death. If you don't accept it, just do it." Clapping his hands, Lin Chen's eyes flashed with coldness. It seemed that during the year when he was in seclusion, there were many undercurrents in the spiritual state. The two figures flashed and disappeared, leaving only the crystals to pay the bill. All the masters present were dumbfounded. They looked dazed and shocked. Did I hear it wrong? Did he just say to smash the Heaven's Word Saint Sun? Lin Chen? Lin Chen. He is Lin Chen, the one who killed the 4 heavenly kings. He has finally appeared. The spiritual state is going to be lively. Lin Chen has killed a lot of peerless talents. The last group of people from the Ling family had gathered in the main hall of the City Lord Mansion, including Han Ziyun. In the main hall, 2 white-browed elders sat beside the Heaven's Word Saint Sun. He sipped his tea leisurely, and many of the elders of the Han family looked at him with fear. The 2 white-browed elders were both at the peak of the 3rd-level Yuan Venerate realm. They were the most powerful elders in the Bai family. The 2 of them and the Heaven's Word Saint Sun had come to Giant Spiritual City in person. The Bai family was very determined to take over Giant Spiritual City. Han Ziyun gritted her teeth. She thought that the Han family finally had hoped to rise again, but the situation had become more serious. Without the foundation and advantage of Giant Spiritual City, the Han family would lose both arms and legs. Just as everyone from the Han family was about to leave in despair, a thunderous roar resounded through the sky and echoed around the City Lord Mansion. Bulsh *T Heaven's Word Saint Sun, come out and die. The thunderous roar attracted the attention of all the masters above the 8th level of the Heaven Dipper realm in Giant Spiritual City. They looked at the City Lord Mansion in shock. Hearing this voice, the Han family members all shone with the light of a new life. Han Ziyun's eyes flashed as she said excitedly, "It's him. He's back." The Heaven's Word Saint Sun looked gloomy. He waved his sleeves, turned into a sword aura and disappeared. Thousands of feet above the City Lord Mansion, a young man in a silver robe attracted the attention of the surrounding masters. Where did this lunatic come from? Did he eat a bear's heart or a leopard's guts? How dare he provoke the Heaven's Word Saint Sun of the Bai family? Where did this trash come from? Die. A sword light flashed across the void and shot toward Lin Chen with murderous intent. The sword light tore the sky apart like a rainbow, and it could be clearly seen from thousands of miles away in Giant Spiritual City. Lin Chen activated his Gold Calamity and Thunder Calamity battle physique, and grabbed with his palm. When 13,000 dragon power points erupted, the crackling golden 7th thunderbolt shattered the finger light into nothingness. Quasi-Venerate. A Quasi-Venerate broke the Heaven's Word Saint Sun's finger technique. How is this possible? Many masters who were watching from afar gasped. The Heaven's Word Saint Sun, who was flying over, was also stunned. Even an early 2nd-level Yuan Venerate would not dare to take his finger technique head-on. How could a Quasi-Venerate break it with one palm? The purple flame whirlwind trembled, and Lin Chen's figure shook violently. The swirling dark battle chi and pure power that could destroy mountains and rivers appeared behind the Heaven's Word Saint Sun like a ghost. His expression changed on the spot. Chi. Bang. The Heaven's Word Saint Sun turned into a shooting star, streaking across the sky and landing in the City Lord Mansion. The terrifying power lifted the earth veins, and it was earth-shattering. Lin Chen clapped his hands and said in a cold and indifferent manner, "How can you be a saint with such strength? How dare you touch the Han family? What kind of trash are you? How dare you come to Giant Spiritual City?" Chapter 377. The Heaven's Word Saint was enraged. He had never been so humiliated before. Although he was at the late stage of the first level Yuan Venerate realm, in terms of combat power, an early stage of the third level Yuan Venerate realm might not be his match. But today, he was actually sent flying by a quasi-venerate in front of everyone? Clang! The sword roared and a blazing sword radiance cut through the sky. The Tempest's sword light burned with blazing flames that burned the sky. Like a violent storm, it slashed towards Lin Chen. The 5 dragons' imperial spear appeared in a flash, and the thunder calamity battle body shone brightly. Lin Chen's dragon power erupted as he danced with the battle spear rapidly. Layers of spear shadows and thunder radiance were pushed forward. Clang! 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 Together with the thunder calamity battle body, Lin Chen used the demonic battle thousand thunder to repel all the sword radiances. 8 barren lands! Boom! The thunder dragon roared and penetrated the void. The Heaven's Word Saint slashed out a red sword aura. Bang! Whoosh! Whoosh! The red sword aura was broken, and the Heaven's Word Saint spat out blood and retreated. Every step he took shattered the space and ground. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Was this the peak of the quasi-venerate realm? This was even more terrifying than the midstage of the third level Yuan Venerate realm. He had never seen such a terrifying quasi-venerate. Not only the Heaven's Word Saint, but many Heaven Dipper realms who were watching the battle felt a lingering fear. The aftermath of the battle killed some of the Bai family's Heaven Dipper realms. On the other hand, the Han family was forced to retreat. Other than the last batch of people in the hall, no one else was left in the City Lord Mansion. Lin Chen used the Hell King step and went straight for the Heaven's Word Saint. Stop! Who are you? How dare you attack the saint of the Bai family? 2 white-browed elders at the peak of the third level Yuan Venerate realm appeared near Lin Chen and shouted coldly. Boom! As the lightning radiance appeared, the purple phoenix wings flapped and Lin Chen's thunder shadow flashed, leaving no afterimages behind. Just as the 2 white-browed elders reacted, Lin Chen raised his battle spear and appeared behind the Heavenly Sword Saint. The latter's face was filled with terror. The 2 old men were startled by the sight and felt their hair stand on end. What kind of abnormal speed was this? A top-tier blue rank movement technique that has been cultivated to perfection? Not good. The saint is in trouble. Just as he regained his senses, Lin Chen's 5 dragons' imperial spear smashed towards the Heavenly Sword Saint. Do you really think I'm easy to bully? The Heavenly Sword Saint's son suddenly activated his mental cultivation method and slashed back with his sword, barely blocking Lin Chen's domineering spear. The divine mark between his eyebrows was faintly discernible as he operated his mental cultivation method. You're just a saint. It's not like I haven't fought you before. You're unreasonable? I'm more unreasonable than you. The 2 people's spear and sword collided. Lin Chen's offense rose steadily. His spear shadows formed layers upon layers, leaving no gaps. When the 9 sacred marks on Lin Chen's forehead formed a kaleidoscope pattern, the 2 old men who were about to help were stunned to the spot. 9 saint marks? Could it be that this kid has absorbed 9 saint flame seeds? How could there be such a ridiculous thing in this world? Clang! 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 While the 2 old men were still in shock, Lin Chen chased after them relentlessly. His spear shadows were endless as he violently swung it. The Heavenly Sword Saint's son was actually suppressed by Lin Chen to the point that he could only barely defend himself. In the blink of an eye, dozens of rounds of collision had passed. The Heavenly Sword Saint's son's sword was knocked away by Lin Chen's spear. When the sword was knocked away, Lin Chen's body spun, and his legs smashed through the space crystal wall, sweeping across the Heavenly Sword Saint's son's waist. Bang! The battle aura defense was broken, and the Heavenly Sword Saint's son was knocked over by the kick. Then, Lin Chen stepped on the back of his head, stomping his face into the ground. 3 attribute light balls rolled down and merged into Lin Chen's arm. Host has received 1 point of mid-grade wind energy, 700 points of mid-grade battle aura essence, and 1 point of mid-grade cultivation technique soul essence. The two old men who were about to attack Lin Chen immediately stopped in their tracks for fear of breaking the vases. The Han family members who were watching from the side were stunned by such astonishing strength. It had only been slightly more than a year since they last saw each other. Their Lin En was actually strong enough to capture the heavenly sword Saint Sun alive in dozens of rounds. Wait a minute. Do you want to start a war with the Bai family? The two old men with white eyebrows shouted. The 5 Yuan venerates that the Bai family had arranged in Giant Spiritual City had also rushed to the City Lord Mansion and surrounded Lin Chen. Losing a holy son was an extremely heavy loss to any ancient family. Start a war? You dare to openly seize the Han family's territory. Isn't that the same as starting a war? If that's the case, why don't I just kill one of you first? Lin Chen chuckled as a cold look flashed across his eyes. No, no, no. If it's because of this, the Bai family will immediately withdraw from Giant Spiritual City to show our sincerity. As long as you don't hurt our saint's son. The two old men with white eyebrows said hurriedly as cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Where did this young man come from? How could his strength be so terrifying? Unexpectedly, Lin Chen kicked the heavenly sword Saint Sun's lower abdomen, causing him to cry out in pain. Sincerity? What the F***ck do you think this place is? You're already showing your sincerity by withdrawing. What nonsense are you spouting? Lin Chen sneered. Then who will be responsible for the emotional, material, and reputation losses of the Han family and the various forces here? Do you think this is a one-night stand where you don't have to take responsibility after pulling up your pants? If the Bai family doesn't give me an answer today, I, Lin Chen, won't leave any of the 7 Yuan venerates here alive, let alone this **T Saint Sun. Lin Chen's eyes flickered with a ferocious murderous aura, completely intimidating all the powerhouses present. A quasi-venerate was actually so powerful that he dared to threaten 7 Yuan venerates present. This was under the premise that 2 of them were at the peak of the 3rd level. Wait a minute? Did he just call himself Lin Chen? Could he be the Lin Chen who killed Murong Chongqing in seconds? Oh my god! He actually appeared. The powerhouses in Giant Spiritual City, who were watching from all directions, exclaimed in shock. You're Lin Chen? One of the old men with white eyebrows was shocked. Little bastard, do you really think there's no one in the Bai family? The other old man with white eyebrows sneered angrily. The battle aura in his palm was like a fierce dragon stirring up the sea, surging violently. If it was Lin Chen, today's matter would not be so simple. The top genius of the Bai family, Bai Ming, had yet to come out of the holy fire level. Many people guessed that it was Lin Chen who had killed Bai Ming because only Lin Chen had the ability to do so. No matter who Lin Chen was today, if they were intimidated by a quasi-venerate, then the Bai family would really lose face. As the two sides were about to fight, an elegant and clear voice rang out like a clear spring. Everyone from the Bai family, please don't cross the line. Although the Han family is not an ancient family, we were once a part of the spiritual state and made great contributions. Don't you think your actions are a little too extreme? Yan Qinyun's purplish-black dress fluttered in the wind. She looked as beautiful as the stars as she appeared between heaven and earth. A member of the Yan family? The Yuan venerates of the Bai family were stunned. The Yan family was the most mysterious existence among the ancient families. They had only one descendant for each generation and were the true ancient fortune-tellers. Although they rarely appeared in public, all the ancient families had to be wary of them when they interfered in any matter. Could this kid be related to the Yan family? Chapter 378. Could this brat be related to the Yan family? The two old men looked at each other in bewilderment before Yan Qianyun said coldly, Everyone from the Bai family, could it be that you want to challenge the rules of the ancient families? Although Yan Qianyun's cultivation was insignificant to the crowd, but her words and actions were enough to intimidate them. Then what does young Lady Yan mean? The two white-browed old men cupped their fists cautiously. According to the Han family's request, we will compensate and apologize to them. Although Yan Qianyun's tone was calm, her attitude was firm. The two old men looked at each other and cupped their fists. Since young Lady Yan has said so, in the end, the Bai family compensated the Han family with many spirit crystals and a large number of treasures. The Heavenly Sword Saint's son was not spared until Lin Chen demanded 2 low-grade rank 6 artifacts from them. When the Bai family questioned whether Lin Chen had killed Bai Ming, he denied it disdainfully, which puzzled the powerhouses of the Bai family. Lin Chen's tyrannical behavior made it seem like he had even dared to kill the Heavenly Sword Saint in front of everyone. Such a person should disdain lying because of Bai Ming. Could Bai Ming have met with some other misfortune? Many powerhouses in Giant Spirit City had witnessed the Bai family's humiliation. There was no lack of Yuan venerate powerhouses among them. Just now, Yan Qianyun's attitude, everyone saw it clearly. Besides Lin Chen, the current Han family still had the Yan family's network. Perhaps there would really be a miracle for them to return to the ranks of the ancient families. When the Bai family completely withdrew from the City Lord Mansion, the remaining members of the Han family shouted Lin Chen's name. Han Li, quickly call Elder Shou and the others back. Tell them that we don't have to move out of Giant Spirit City. Let everyone return to their familiar positions as quickly as possible. Mr. Linen, the best thing that the Han family has done is to befriend you. The 2 Yuan venerate elders of the Han family thanked him sincerely. However, Han Ziyun grabbed Lin Chen's arm anxiously. Lin Chen, quickly go to the Ling family. It was said that the Murong family and the Ning family had joined hands and secretly attacked the Ling family many times. They are especially targeting Sister Ling Yueqi. I heard that even Sister Ling Yueqi's cultivation mystic realm is about to be occupied. Han Ziyun's anxious expression made Lin Chen's expression change slightly. You dare to bully my teacher Yuqi? Seeing Lin Chen's expression, Yan Qianyun couldn't help but have a headache. It's over. I have to deal with this guy's aftermath. The Murong family and the Ning family are also involved. With Lin Chen's stubborn temper, he even dared to hit a descendant of a god. Just the Ning family and the Murong family would be enough to turn the entire spiritual state upside down. One day later, in the Lung clan's territory, outside the Thousand Moon Valley. When Lin Chen arrived, it just so happened that a branch family of the Lung Yu clan was stationed nearby. Lin Chen went straight to the spatial barrier of the branch family's headquarters. After showing his Lung family token, he entered the ancient Nether Pavilion almost unimpeded. On the 3rd floor of the ancient Nether Pavilion, many masters of the Lung clan who had evacuated from the Thousand Moon Valley gathered here. The atmosphere in the hall was still heavy when the door was pushed open. Teacher Yuqi. Lin Chen rushed in hurriedly. Ling Yueqi, who was sitting in the hall, was stunned. You finally came out of seclusion? Ling Yueqi happily walked towards Lin Chen. Lin Chen grabbed the beautiful woman's arm and hurriedly activated his purple-golden eyes. He confirmed that Ling Yueqi was not in any life-threatening danger other than some external injuries and some internal injuries. Without saying anything, Lin Chen pulled Ling Yueqi into his arms. The mature beauty's cold cheeks were dyed with a layer of red. Everyone is still here. Ling Yueqi, whose cheeks were red, struggled slightly in Lin Chen's arms. Teacher Yuqi, don't worry. Those who bullied you, I will make them pay back tenfold. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Don't act recklessly. The situation is very dangerous now. If you appear, they might besiege and kidnap you. Ling Yueqi hurriedly advised. Lin Chen's lips curved into a cold smile. That depends on whether they have the ability to do so. Miss Ling Yueqi, it's not like you don't know his temper. Yan Qianyun, who was following behind, said helplessly. Although Lin Chen's potential was strong, he was not careless when it came to causing trouble. Ah, this is Lin Chen, right? You are indeed a man of character. This time, our Lung clan has 3 more opportunities to become holy sons and holy daughters because of Lin Chen. Our Lung clan will never forget this kindness. Lin Chen, you don't have to put yourself in danger. Yes, bear with it for a while and the wind will be calm. The many elders of the Lung clan cupped their fists politely to Lin Chen. By the way, may I ask if this young lady is from the Yen clan? 2 experienced green-robed elders suddenly cupped their fists solemnly to Yen Qianyun, who was behind Lin Chen, and asked respectfully, "My name is Yen Qianyun. Greetings, seniors." Yen Qianyun bowed gracefully. She was so beautiful that everyone in the Lung clan greeted her respectfully. This Lin Chen was too terrifying. Even the daughter of the Yen clan could follow him around. No wonder he was the most famous person in the spiritual state recently. How can we let those guys go? They even called Sister Yuechi a whore and bullied her because they were younger than her. That's right, if the elders didn't stop them in time, Sister Yuechi might have been beaten to death by that woman. At this time, a few young girls in the hall couldn't take it anymore and muttered. Then, they were glared at by the elders and didn't dare to speak again. However, Lin Chen heard everything in his heart and suddenly smiled. "Everyone present, we will return to the Thousand Moon Valley tonight." Everyone was stunned. The Thousand Moon Valley was occupied by the 2 big clans. How could they return? "Teacher Yuechi, those guys who wronged you, none of them can run away." Lin Chen stroked the beautiful woman's hair, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Thousand Moon Valley, late at night. The valley was rich in ice energy, and many people took this opportunity to enter a state of cultivation. In a boudoir in the Thousand Moon Valley, a few black shadows flashed past. The leader of the group hid at the door of the boudoir, flipped his palm and pulled. The few black shadows broke the door and entered, and a powerful and terrifying aura surged in the boudoir. The leader of the black-clothed men flicked his finger, and a gray talisman appeared. The gray talisman exploded, and the entire space in the boudoir froze, becoming extremely slow. The woman in the room realized that even her dantian and natal palace had become as slow as a tortoise, and she was terrified. The black-clothed men immediately rushed in and captured her. The leader of the black-clothed men took out 2 bottles of treasures. In his left hand there was a bottle full of twisting eels. In his right hand there was a bottle of lively mantis shrimp. "How dare you bully my teacher Yuechi? Brother Chen will let you know what hell is like on earth." The black-clothed man laughed evilly like a demon. He was the last to enter the room and slowly closed the door. Chapter 380. Late at night, Lin Chen sat cross-legged on a mountain peak in the Thousand Moon Valley. After capturing the saint and saintess, Lin Chen had obtained quite a number of elemental light balls, a large number of treasures and skills. Among them, he had found a battle technique that interested him from the Flying Dragon Saint. Top blue rank battle technique, Phantom Wind Demon Kick. Extreme speed and extreme attack. It's best for Wind Elemental Battle Force users. If it's used by someone with great speed or a strong physique, it'll be like adding wings to a tiger. This battle technique could be used for both long-range and close-range attack. It could also be used by someone with great speed and physique. It was very suitable for him. The Black Dragon Palm's attack mode was very simple and could only be used for close-range attacks. If someone with a secret technique like his purple-gold eyes could see through it, the effect would be greatly reduced. System: I want to learn this Phantom Wind Demon Kick. System: receive. Consumed 3 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences. Transmitting Shadow Wind Demon Kick to the host. Due to the system's update and Lin Chen's increase in spiritual power, the transmission of this battle technique was completed in less than 4 hours. After receiving the Phantom Wind Demon Kick, Lin Chen continued to fuse treasures. System: I want to fuse all the treasures. Host has a total of 87 fifth-level treasures. Among them, 19 are top-level 5th-level treasures and 6 are low-level 6th-level treasures. Fusing all of them will consume 1,300 Heaven's Path points. Furthermore, the treasures produced will be completely random. Are you sure you want to fuse them? Yes. Although there were many treasures, none of them were the type that Lin Chen wanted. Rather than wasting them, he might as well try his luck and see if he could get a high-level one. The system furnace absorbed all the treasures and began to fuse them. Boom boom ding, ding. In just 3 breaths, the fusion was complete. Lin Chen glanced over and saw 2 brand new treasures appear before his eyes. One of them was a robe that flowed with multicolored light, while the other was an ice crossbow that could be worn on the wrist guard. Mid-level 6th-level treasures. Spirit Illusion Cloak. Mid-level 6th-level treasures. Dragon Frost. Spirit Illusion Cloak. After wearing it, one's outer appearance can be disguised. It can change one's facial features, increase one's movement speed by 30%, and increase one's battle chi defense by 30%. It can only be used by those below the 7th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Above the 7th level, the effects will be halved. Dragon's Breath of Ice, condensing the scales of the Frost Dragon, refining the dragon's breath of 10,000 years. The arrow shot out is like an arrow from the sky, freezing everything within 10,000 miles. After receiving the information of these 2 treasures, Lin Chen's jaw dropped. Good stuff, I've made a fortune. This Dragon Breath Glacial Ice is perfect for Teacher Yu Qi. Satisfied, Lin Chen turned off the system, and 2 treasures appeared in his hands. He put on the Spirit Illusion Cloak and instantly turned from a young man to a cold middle-aged man. Thousand Moon Valley, in a secret cultivation room. Ling Yueqi suddenly opened her beautiful eyes, and an ice bow appeared in her hand. She aimed at the middle-aged man at the door of the secret room. Who is it? How dare you trespass into my Lin clan's cultivation mystic realm? Lin Chen was overjoyed. He didn't expect that even Ling Yueqi wouldn't recognize him. It's me, Teacher Yu Qi. After removing the camouflage effect of the Spirit Illusion Cloak, Lin Chen revealed his true appearance. Ling Yueqi was slightly surprised. How did you become like that just now? You look like an uncle. Hee, that's not important. What's important is that I have a gift for you. Lin Chen handed the Dragon Breath Glacial Ice to Ling Yueqi. The beauty was shocked. She was first surprised, then delighted. This item was a perfect match for her ability. With this item, her combat strength would increase by several times. After returning to the Lin clan from the Holy Fire level, Ling Yueqi had been nurtured by the Lin clan and was now an early-stage quasi-venerate. She could barely use the mid-grade rank 6 Dragon Breath Glacial Ice. Once she became a Yuan Venerate, she would be able to control it perfectly. Although this item is good, it's better to keep it for your own use. It's good to have a little more strength to protect yourself. Ling Yueqi wanted to return the item to Lin Chen, but he chuckled. I'm giving this to you, Teacher Yu Qi. Besides, have you forgotten? I'm a spear user. Lin Chen smirked and leaned forward slightly. The beauty cried out in surprise, and a touch of red appeared on her cold and enchanting face. Lin Chen was a little dazed by the sight. Lin Chen couldn't help but hug Ling Yueqi and kiss her. In the secret chamber, a hint of spring was overflowing. Under the passionate atmosphere, their lips parted. Lin Chen stared at Ling Yueqi restlessly. She pressed her slender fingers against Lin Chen's lips and breathed softly. Idiot, now is not the time. My heart technique hasn't reached perfection. If I lose my virginity, all my previous efforts will be wasted. Why is it like this again? It was the same last time. I can only look at it but not eat it. Lin Chen was so angry that he wanted to fight with his brothers. Suddenly, he stared at the cold beauty's beautiful lips and smiled mischievously as usual. Hee, I almost forgot about this. A breathtaking scene was reflected in Lin Chen's eyes. Unfortunately, the secret chamber was tightly shut. Besides Lin Chen, no one could appreciate it. The next day, Lin Chen bid farewell to the Lin clan. Ling Yueqi focused on cultivating in the Thousand Moon Valley. This cultivation secret realm was given to Lin Chen by the Lin clan. Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun went in the same direction and officially returned to the Heavenly Song Academy together. 2 days later, Lin Chen and Yan Qianyun arrived at the Sacred Fire Mountain Range. The two landed in the Phoenix City of the Sacred Fire Mountain Range and rested for a while. Many wedding escorts passed through the city happily and poured into the mountain range. Whose family is holding a wedding? Is so grand. Lin Chen casually took a bite of a local specialty skewer. Yan Qianyun was holding a candy man next to him, her eyes shining. Little brother, you still don't know? Today is the day that the Bai clan's Saint Sun Tianqi and the Sacred Sun Temple become in-laws. The old man selling the candy man smiled. Lin Chen was interested. Oh, didn't they say that the Saint Sun is high and mighty? Why would he take a fancy to a girl from the Sacred Sun Temple? This Saint Sun's eyesight is not shallow. The girl he took a fancy to is the famous eldest disciple of the Sacred Sun Temple. The old man sighed. This girl is kind and often helps us, the commoners in the surrounding towns. She gives us land and even accepts refugees to cultivate. She is really a blessing to our Sacred Fire Mountain Range. I heard her name is Yun Manqing? Hearing this name, the skewer in Lin Chen's hand dropped. At this moment, a little girl who was passing by curiously pulled her senior martial sister's hand and pointed at Lin Chen as she asked curiously. Senior sister, why is that big brother's hat green? The Sacred Sun Temple was like a tide coming from all directions. The entrance of the Sacred Sun Temple was as crowded as a marketplace. This time, the marriage between the Bai clan's Saint Sun and the Sacred Sun Temple had alarmed countless first-rate forces. To be able to establish a relationship with the Saint Sun of an ancient family, the Sacred Sun Temple would soar into the sky in the future. Now was the best time to curry favor. In a joyous boudoir, the bride was wearing a phoenix crown and a green jade hairpin. She was extremely beautiful. Elder Xian, are you really going to push me onto the road of no return? Yun Manqing pointed the scissors at her neck, her eyes slightly red. Manqing, why do you have to do this? This Saint Sun of the Heavenly Qilin clan is handsome and talented. What's wrong with him? Furthermore, if we offend him, our Sacred Sun Temple will not have a good ending. A beautiful elder with bright makeup sighed helplessly. Then, she continued, you should forget about that little lover of yours. Feelings can be nurtured. Now that your battle chi is restricted, you can't commit suicide even if you want to. Why do you have to torture yourself? Yun Manqing gritted her teeth, her expression cold. I, Yun Manqing, will only marry one person in my life. If you insist on marrying me to this person, then I promise that I will sever all ties with the Sacred Sun Temple. Sai Manqing, you are still young. There are some things that you can't decide on your own. You will understand in the future. The beautiful woman waved her hand and flicked away the scissors in Yun Manqing's hand. Chapter 381. Sky Song Academy, Battle Arena No. 4. Many students were paying close attention to Battle Arena No. 4. Young Merit versus Young Merit, and it was a team battle. This kind of battle was rare. Bang! Bai Juanhao and Ying Liang, who were wearing green medals, were knocked down. At the same time, they fell to the ground. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their eyes were filled with unwillingness. Lin Chen should really feel ashamed for the dog he raised. With such little strength, he still dares to come out and cause trouble? The two young meritocrats sneered, and the two figures outside the arena watched this scene with interest. This time I'll take some interest. How dare he touch my people? When Lin Chen returns, I'll personally kill him. His life is mine. Yi Juesheng, don't overstep your boundaries. The two youths sitting in the VIP lounge glanced at each other, full of hostility. One of them had tiger-like eyes and sharp eyebrows. The other was handsome and cold, with sharp eyes and sharp eyebrows. Their auras seemed to overflow at any time and shatter the space crystal walls. The two of them were so young, yet they were already mid-first level Yuan venerates. They both wore a dazzling purple medal on their chests. Purple merit. A purple merit that hadn't appeared in Sky Song Academy in 1,000 years. The two of them were Yi Juesheng, who had been in seclusion, and Mo Feng, who had tried to harm Lin Chen multiple times in the sacred fire realm. Xiao Long, destroy the two trash in the arena. They have already signed the life and death contract, so you can beat them to death. Yi Juesheng wiped his neck and secretly sent a voice transmission to the battle arena. One of the seniors immediately cupped his fists and accepted the order. His face was filled with killing intent. How dare you maliciously destroy Big Brother Lin Chen's exclusive dormitory? Either kneel down and apologize, or we'll tear off a few pieces of your flesh. Ying Liang's expression was gloomy. Ha ha ha. Kowtow and apologize? With just the two of you? Two trash who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How dare you provoke Master Yi Juesheng? The two of them attacked fiercely. The two seniors, who were at the 8th level of the Heaven Dipper realm, caused the space crystal walls of the battle arena to distort continuously. Juanhao, don't force yourself. Ying Liang. Hurry up and surrender, don't resist anymore. The Su sisters and Gu Chunfeng shouted from outside the arena. The two of them did not seem to be listening at all. Their bodies surged with battle chi attacks. At this critical moment, an afterimage rushed into the arena and joined the battle. Boom! The battle chi handprints and finger-flicking light of the two seniors were annihilated into nothingness by a strange wave. Han Yiji's slender body stood in the middle of the stage. Her small face was serious and dignified. Someone has already joined this battle. Just take it that the two of them have forfeited. I will fight with you. The dazzling blue metal entered everyone's eyes, and they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Such a delicate and slender person was actually a blue merit? No matter who it was, Yi Juesheng's subordinates did not plan to let them go. An even more intense battle was about to erupt. Tens of thousands of people gathered in the Sun Saint Palace, and they were all famous figures in the spiritual state. Outside the hall, red carpets were laid out, and tens of thousands of tables were set up for a banquet. There were more than 50,000 Heaven Star Border Realm cultivators present today. Bai Tianqi sat in the main hall with a smile on his face. He nodded slightly at the leaders of the forces who had arrived at the Sun Saint Palace. Because of the vicious beast auction, there were many leaders of the forces who were related to Bai Tianqi. Therefore, almost 1/10 of the first-rate forces in the spiritual state had gathered at this wedding banquet, and each of them sent representatives to congratulate him. Some of the smaller forces even wanted to take this opportunity to see the saint's true appearance. Ha, Lin Chen! I didn't expect Yun Manqing to be your woman. When the time comes, I will humiliate you in front of your face. She is my concubine. Thinking of this, Bai Tianqi felt a trace of joy in his heart. Ever since he was defeated by Lin Chen last time, he had been bringing his 3 Class 6 vicious beasts with him almost all the time. His true strength was not his cultivation on the surface, but his vicious beast army. He had already decided that if he found Lin Chen again, he would use his vicious beast army to annihilate him. The wedding banquet gradually began. When the bride slowly walked onto the stage with a red veil, everyone exclaimed. Even though she had yet to reveal her true appearance, Yun Manqing's graceful figure was like a pure lotus, elegant and refined. Bai Tianqi was stunned for a moment, but if someone looked carefully, they would notice that Yun Manqing was being supported by 2 beautiful maids. They were using their battle aura to bind Yun Manqing at all times. Obviously, this happy occasion was not as beautiful as imagined. Today is the big day for me, Bai Tianqi and Miss Yun Manqing. Here, I propose a toast to everyone. Bai Tianqi stood on the peak of the mountain outside the Sun Palace. He held a golden jade cup with both hands and proposed a toast to everyone, finishing it in one gulp. Inside and outside the Sun Palace, at the foot of the mountain, many banquet tables were set up. Everyone looked up and saw the saint's true appearance for the first time. Some people who were toasted by the saint couldn't help but blush with excitement. This was probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they could brag about it for the rest of their lives. Even though it was a toast and his tone was polite, Bai Tianqi's voice still had an innate nobility. He waved his hand and said, "I, Bai Tianqi, don't like nonsense. Let's skip the formalities. Today, I will present a hornless dragon dance to everyone." Bai Tianqi whistled, and the frost-hornless dragon that was entrenched in the sky flew down and danced. Everyone exclaimed. This was a genuine level 6 ferocious beast. It was equivalent to the human races Yuan venerate. In the past, many powerhouses didn't even have the chance to see such a ferocious beast, let alone admire it up close. The frost-hornless dragon wandered in the void, moving its body and shuttling through the clouds in a series of graceful movements. It moved through the clouds and rain, and wherever it passed, frost and snow would fly. It was a magnificent sight. The frost-hornless dragon opened its mouth and spat out a dragon's breath, forming a beautiful scene of snow in June that was reflected outside the Sun Palace. Great! The saint is indeed the saint. He can even command a level 6 ferocious beast at will. He is indeed amazing. Today's event was not in vain. It's worth it even if I go bankrupt. Many powerhouses present cheered excitedly. Just as everyone was looking forward to it and was in a daze, suddenly, the weather changed. Boom! A section of the Azure Dragon's huge claw seemed to tear through the clouds as it slammed toward the frost-hornless dragon. Bang! The frost-hornless dragon was slapped into the sacred fire mountain range by the claw, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. Many powerhouses were dumbfounded. An ancient azure dragon with a domineering dragon aura and a soaring aura hovered high in the sky and appeared without any warning. It roared angrily at the sky, shattering the spatial crystal walls and causing landslides and tsunamis. It even triggered the Sun Palace's guardian array to protect the guests present. Many powerhouses were dumbfounded. What exactly was going on? That was a level 6 frost-hornless dragon that was comparable to a level 1 Yuan venerate. How could it be sent flying with a single claw? Chapter 382. All the VIPs were shocked. How could no one react when such a terrifying azure dragon had approached the Sun Palace? What happened? When did this azure dragon appear there? Quick! Suppress it. Otherwise, this wedding banquet will be a mess. The Bai family's Yuan venerates were the first to make a move. 3 first-level Yuan venerate elders flew out in succession. Bai Tianqi's gaze was fixed on the ancient azure dragon as he gritted his teeth and said, "Could it be you, Lin Chen?" Boom! As soon as he said that, a loud bang was heard. An early-stage first-level Yuan venerate elder of the Bai family spun a dozen times in the air before crashing down beside Bai Tianqi. Many VIPs made way for him, their mouths trembling in shock. Silver robes fluttered as the figure of a young man slowly stepped into the Sun Palace. One strike. He had sent a Yuan venerate elder flying with just one slap. Who exactly was this person? Bai Tianqi's eyes narrowed. It was impossible for him not to recognize this person. It was Lin Chen, whom he had been thinking about day and night. What surprised him was that Lin Chen's current strength was completely different from what it had been a year ago. The bride trembled slightly when she saw Lin Chen. 2 drops of tears fell from her red veil. "How dare you? How dare you ruin the Sun's Sacred Hall's wedding banquet? Who are you?" 2 Sacred Hall elders stepped forward to berate Lin Chen. He glanced at the 2 of them indifferently and snapped his fingers lightly. Crack! The binding battle chi fluctuations immediately burst out from the bride's body. Her battle chi had been unshackled. Such a tyrannical method once again shocked many of the elders of the divine temple. This was a battle chi seal set up by a Yuan Venerate elder, yet this young man had actually undone it so easily. After undoing the battle chi seal, Yun Manqing threw away the red veil and ran towards Lin Chen in tears of joy. The elders who wanted to stop her made several battle chi hand seals across the air. Lin Chen used his mind power to sweep out a few wisps of mind power and easily obliterate the numerous battle chi attacks. Mind power attack? What a powerful spiritual force! Lin Chen's cold expression suddenly turned into a smile. He hugged Yun Manqing, who was running towards him. Thank goodness you're here, Lin Lang. Sparkling tears streamed down her cheeks. Yun Manqing's eyes were brimming with tears, making Lin Chen's heart ache. Judging from the battle chi seal just now, Yun Manqing must have been forced to agree to this marriage. Thinking of this, Lin Chen's eyes became cold and murderous. He had completely lost all trust in the Sun Temple. His future wife had almost been snatched away. How could Lin Chen feel at ease letting her stay here? The temple elders asked in bewilderment, "You are Lin Chen?" Patting Yun Manqing, Lin Chen smiled confidently and said, "It's fine. Leave everything to me now." Yun Manqing hummed happily. She held Lin Chen's hand and stood obediently beside him. When everyone saw this proud girl's blissful and shy appearance, it was clear who her heart belonged to. As long as she stayed by Lin Chen's side, Yun Manqing would have great courage. It was as if as long as she was with him, she wouldn't be afraid even if the whole world became her enemy. Lin Chen took a step forward. When he opened his mouth, his voice spread throughout the entire Sun Palace. Today, I only want to kill Bai Tianqi, or kill everyone here who wants to help him. As soon as he said this, the Sun Palace was in a state of shock. Lin Chen's attitude was so domineering that it made people's hair stand on end. For those Heaven Star Border Realm cultivators who saw the saint for the first time, they were even more shocked. He actually wanted to kill the honorable saint who was above countless people? He even said that he wanted to kill everyone here who wanted to help him? This was like a group of country gentry who had painstakingly saved up enough money to enter the palace through their connections. They were lucky enough to meet the emperor. At this time, a young man suddenly popped out and said that he wanted to kill this dog emperor. How could the gentry present accept this? Ha! Kill me? Do you think it's still the same as before? My ferocious beast army is all here today. Do you think an ancient azure dragon like you can contend against me? Bai Tianqi laughed wildly as if it was finally time to get back at them. All of you, get out of my way. I want to crush this ant personally. Bai Tianqi had just finished speaking when two of the three Bai family Yuan Venerate elders were sent flying and landed on the mountain peak beside the Sun Palace. Everyone looked over in shock. The ancient azure dragon in the void not only had the upper hand but also seriously injured the three elders. 27,000 dragon power points? This ancient azure dragon's strength is comparable to a mid-second level Heaven Star Border Realm cultivator. Don't fight without permission, a Bai family elder exclaimed. The ancient azure dragon relied on the two dragon race mystiques that had been passed down in the tomb, and its combat strength was comparable to a peak second-level Yuan Venerate. How can this azure dragon be so strong? Bai Tianqi's expression changed slightly. Lin Chen carried Yun Manqing and floated in the air. The ancient azure dragon immediately retreated to Lin Chen's side to protect the two of them. The elder who had persisted until the end quickly retreated. A peak third-level Yuan Venerate elder stood up and glared coldly at Lin Chen. The ice nightmare dragon that had been sent flying flew up again and roared angrily at the ancient azure dragon. Old Shi, you don't have to deal with this kid. Leave him to me. Bai Tianqi stopped the peak third-level Yuan Venerate elder. The latter frowned and said seriously, "Then please be careful, sacred son. This kid is a little unpredictable." Be careful of any trick. He. Any tricks will be useless. He will definitely die in the face of absolute strength. Bai Tianqi suddenly rushed into the sky and waves of fire surged. 2 mountain-sized dragon fire cheilants stood on either side of Bai Tianqi. These 2 dragon fire cheilants were Bai Tianqi's strongest dire beasts. Each of them was comparable to a mid-second level yuan venerate. Many of the VIPs present felt their blood boil. They hadn't expected to attend the Sacred Sun's wedding and personally witness the Sacred Sun's heroic bearing. The spatial light around the Sacred Sun Hall shrouded and protected all the buildings belonging to the Sacred Sun Hall in the Sacred Fire Mountain range. This battle was no small matter. If the Sacred Sun Great Array wasn't activated, the 4 behemoths in the void would raze most of the buildings in the mountain range to the ground. At that moment, an even more surprising scene occurred. The ancient azure dragon shrunk its body and protected Yun Manqing as it retreated thousands of miles away. In the end, only Lin Chen was left to face Bai Tianqi and the 3 behemoths in the void alone. He asked the azure dragon to retreat. Could it be that he wants to take on the Sacred Sun and his 3 unparalleled dire beasts alone? This is crazy. Could he be a 3rd-level yuan venerate powerhouse? When Lin Chen used his cultivation technique, Thunder Tribulation, and Gold Calamity Battle Body, everyone was stunned when they sensed that he was only a peak quasi-venerate. Bai Tianqi was so angry that he laughed when he saw this scene. Peak quasi-venerate? Do you still think this is the same as when I was training my dire beasts? Ha ha ha. Lin Chen flicked his fingernails and sneered disdainfully. I don't need my azure dragon to beat up trash like you. Chapter 383. I think you're just courting death. As Bai Tianqi roared, the frost hornless dragon spat out a frosty dragon breath that froze the void, sealing Lin Chen's movements. The entire eastern part of the sacred fire mountain, which had always been rich in fire elemental energy, was suddenly covered in heavy snow. In the gap between their coordination, the horns of the 2 dragon fire cheilants shot out towering fire pillars, attacking Lin Chen from above and below. A golden light flashed past, and Lin Chen broke the fire pillars with the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand. Get down! Lin Chen smashed his spear with a backhand, and golden light burst out from the tip of the spear, twisting and dancing in the void, instantly shooting toward the frost hornless dragon. Chi! The dragon's scales cracked, and the storm-like golden light broke through the frost hornless dragon's defense. Even its frosty dragon breath couldn't protect it. Bai Tianqi's expression changed slightly, and the dragon fire cheilin rushed forward, stepping on clouds as it shook the mountains and the 4 seas. The purple phoenix wings flapped, and Lin Chen used the Hell King's step lightly, easily dodging it like a bullfighter playing with a bull. Boom! The other dragon fire cheilin was ready to attack, spitting out flames from its dragon breath. The moment it attacked, the many 5th-grade ferocious beasts hiding in the mountain range were waiting for an opportunity to move. Waves of energy gathered from all directions, condensing into one with the dragon fire cheilant's attack. Fusing the complex and colorful energy of a large number of ferocious beasts together, this kind of attack method made even the experts of the older generation present gasp in amazement. Lin Chen danced with the 5 dragons' imperial spear at extreme speed, and the sky was filled with spear shadows like rolling waves. The spear shadows were impenetrable, blocking the torrent-like complex energy. However, the other dragon fire cheilin immediately turned around and spat out a breath, sweeping its flaming tail, and the breath rolled into a monstrous storm toward Lin Chen. A several hundred zhang tall cold pillar broke through the ground and shot towards Lin Chen, freezing both of his arms. The spear shadow's offensive power was greatly reduced. Arrogant fellow, die in front of your woman, and then I'll take pity on her for you, ha ha ha! Bai Tianqi suddenly laughed wildly. Even a mid-3rd level yuan venerate would have to avoid the combined attack of 30 top-notch level 5 ferocious beasts and 3 level 6 ferocious beasts. Without the protection of the ancient azure dragon, he was almost certain that Lin Chen was dead for sure. Lin Chen's lips curled into a strange smile. In addition to thunder tribulation and metal tribulation, there was also a new type of battle chi circulating around his body. I don't even need to dodge an attack of this level. Wan Yuexian armor. Heavenly Dipper battle chi. Boom. Bang. An earth-shaking explosion resounded through the skies, and the spatial crystal walls shattered inch by inch. Waves of energy rocked the defensive array like a tidal wave, causing many of the guests to panic. If it wasn't for the protection of the Sun Temple's protective array, the number of people present could be counted on one hand. When the energy tide dissipated, Bai Tianqi sneered. Just as he was about to take a look at Lin Chen's battered and exhausted appearance, the earthy yellow rock helmet, which was dozens of feet long, slowly cracked open, and everyone saw it. Crack! Crack! The rock helmet slowly fell off, and the young man's frivolous smile appeared, shocking many Yuan Venerate powerhouses. The combined attack of so many ferocious beasts, which was comparable to a mid-third level Yuan Venerate's attack, had actually only broken his defensive technique? Bai Tianqi's sneer came to an abrupt end. It was impossible for him not to recognize this move, as this was the defensive technique he had used to protect his life, the Wan Yuexian armor. He actually learned my Wan Yuexian armor? What made Bai Tianqi and the Bai family feel numb wasn't just that Lin Chen had learned the Wan Yuexian armor. Instead, it was that he had actually used the Wan Yuexian armor to perfectly withstand the combined attack of a mid-third level Yuan Venerate with his peak quasi-Venerate cultivation? Even a third-level Yuan Venerate powerhouse might not be able to do this. The Xingzi's attack actually couldn't shake him? It can't be, right? The aftermath of the attack just now was very terrifying. Could it be that it was just a facade? Most of the VIPs were discussing spiritedly, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that it wasn't that Bai Tianqi was too weak, but that Lin Chen was too strong. I don't believe that you can take a second wave of my attack. Bai Tianqi roared hysterically. The seals on his hands suddenly changed, and the ferocious beast army in the sacred Fire Mountain range once again gathered to attack. The dragon fire Qilins roared angrily, their bodies burning with raging dragon flames as they raised their huge Qilin hooves and charged forward. The energy of the ferocious beast army converged on the two dragon fire Qilins like a torrent, and the two Qilins charged toward Lin Chen one after another. The two dragon fire Qilins led the charge and charged toward Lin Chen. This time, the attack was even stronger than before. Boom! Bang! The attack that made the entire sacred Fire Mountain range shake violently a few times, and the light of many palace-protecting arrays suddenly dimmed. Clearly, in order to withstand this attack, even the Sun Sacred Hall's protective array had consumed a lot of energy. When the flying dust dissipated, although the yellow stone helmet was damaged, the young man inside the stone helmet was still standing proudly on the field. The many Yuan Venerate elders of the Sacred Hall and the Bai family gasped. This attack, which was enough to shake late-stage third-level martialists, still couldn't threaten Lin Chen. How abnormal was this peak quasi-Venerate? Wouldn't he be able to turn the world upside down if he became a true Yuan Venerate? This test is still very successful. It seems that with the Earth Calamity Battle Body, the Spirit Illusion Cloak, and my own defense, any attack below the fourth level of the Heaven Dipper realm is nothing. Lin Chen smiled confidently and removed the 1,000 Yuexian armor. Lightning flashed and appeared under his feet. Purple flames surged behind him as his body moved swiftly through the void. Boom! With the Thunder Calamity Battle Body, Lin Chen turned into a bolt of lightning. Almost no one present had time to react. The 5 dragons' Imperial Spear stabbed furiously at the Frost Chi Dragon as if it could pierce through the galaxy. Then, the lightning suddenly changed direction and smashed down rapidly. The Gold Calamity Battle Body's sharpness was unstoppable as a golden light slashed down. The sharp metal chi tore through the defense of a dragon fire qilin on the spot. In the blink of an eye, 2 level 6 dire beasts were killed on the spot. What a terrifying speed! He actually has such a movement technique? Why did he have to resist the saint's attack just now? Oh no! The saint is in danger. After Lin Chen killed 2 level 6 dire beasts at lightning speed, the Bai family Yuan Venerate elders finally realized Lin Chen's true strength. Qi. The tip of the spear pierced through the last dragon fire qilin and split it in half. Blood flowed like a river. Lin Chen's true combat strength was so strong that it made everyone pale. After getting rid of Bai Tianqi's 3 main dire beasts, Lin Chen charged toward Bai Tianqi rapidly. Clang! A few hundred feet away from Bai Tianqi, the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear was blocked by a peak 3rd level Bai family elder. This kid is crazy. Hurry up and protect the saint. Another late-stage 3rd level Yuan Venerate elder flanked Lin Chen from both sides and temporarily blocked him. The Golden War Spear pierced through the golden lightning shadow and pressed forward heavily. Lin Chen was actually not at a disadvantage, even though he was fighting 2 enemies alone. Chapter 384. My Dragon Fire qilin. That damned bastard! How long has it been? How could his strength have transformed so quickly? Bai Tianqi roared with bloodshot eyes. At that moment, the clouds parted and 2 afterimages rushed toward Bai Tianqi. They were Lin Chen's phantom doppelgangers. Oh no! This kid is still holding back. The expression of the Sacred Hall elder, who had just rushed out of the array, changed. In a flash, 2 senior Sacred Hall elders appeared on Bai Tianqi's left and right. Black Dragon Palm, Level 7 Dark Dragon Force. Tai Sword Palm. The 2 elders were aggressive as they clashed with Lin Chen's 2 phantom doppelgangers. They barely managed to protect Bai Tianqi. Whoosh! However, the moment the 2 Sacred Hall elders were held back, another figure appeared above Bai Tianqi's head like a ghost. A 3rd phantom doppelganger. Bai Tianqi, who had lost the protection of the ferocious beasts, was merely an early-stage quasi-venerable. 10,000 Yuan armor. Bai Tianqi had just activated his battle force to display the 10,000 Yuan armor when the 3rd phantom doppelganger struck him with the Black Dragon Palm. The swirling dark dragon force penetrated Bai Tianqi's entire body. His 10,000 Yuan armor couldn't even withstand the level 1 dark dragon force of Lin Chen. Crack! Bang! The sound of his head shattering could be heard. Then, Bai Tianqi's entire body exploded into a bloody mist. He died without a complete corpse. Everyone was dumbstruck when they saw the swirling blood mist. A dignified ancient family's holy son had been killed by a 20-year-old youth on the spot. By family, Sacred Sun Temple. 2 3rd-level Yuan Venerates and 2 2nd-level Yuan Venerates were dispatched each, but they still couldn't prevent Bai Tianqi from dying. He was only a quasi-venerable. He could fight 4 supremacies alone and still kill a holy son in front of them. If he entered the Yuan Venerate realm, which of his peers in all the ancient families in the entire spiritual state would be his match? The answer might be that no one. Host has received a Tribute Rune Evolution Stone, 70 talent points, 1 intermediate Earth Energy Point, 2 intermediate Rune Energy Points, 2 intermediate Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. Host has opened the Cyan Crystal Treasure Chest. Obtained 1 Specialty Rune Evolution Stone, Blue Rank Top Mental Cultivation Method, 10,000 Beast Demon Controlling Art. Several attribute light balls and a treasure chest merged with Lin Chen's doppelganger. The doppelganger suddenly flashed and returned to Lin Chen's side. The ancient azure dragon at the side waited for an opportunity and immediately pounced forward. It dug out the dire beast cores of the 3 Class 6 dire beasts and swallowed them. It had to be said that Bai Tianqi's attacks were the strongest among all the saints Lin Chen had encountered so far. However, Lin Chen's actual combat strength was inferior to the Bai family's Heavenly Sword Saint. This was because his attack required the combination of many beasts and conditions. If it was a large-scale battle, then Bai Tianqi would be a dazzling existence on the battlefield. But if it was a one-on-one fight, especially against someone like Lin Chen who was extremely fast, he was not even worth mentioning. If Lin Chen hadn't wanted to test the level of his defense, he wouldn't even have had the chance to touch the corner of Lin Chen's clothes. Lin Chen, you dare to kill the Bai family's saint? The expressions of many powerhouses changed. The Bai family's elder shouted angrily. Lin Chen was not angry. Instead, he laughed. I've said it before, I'll definitely take his dog life. If you guys want to continue, then I don't mind killing all of you too. Lin Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He looked fearless even if he killed everyone. At this moment, the dire beast army in the sacred fire mountain began to riot. Because they had lost control of Bai Tianqi, they fled in all directions. Some of the sanctum elders had to personally suppress them. If they were allowed to wreak havoc, there wouldn't be many survivors in the sacred fire mountain. If you guys from the Bai family touch him, then be prepared to become enemies with the Yan family. At this moment, Yan Qianyun stood up in the air. The Yan family? This brat has such a relationship? The Bai family's elders were frightened. A yellow-robed elder said in a deep voice, Miss Yan, even if Lin Chen is related to your Yan family, he killed our Bai family's saint. How can we just let this matter rest? Yan Qianyun said in an unhurried manner, elegant and otherworldly. Let this matter rest? Bai Tianqi brought all of this upon himself. If he didn't insist on marrying Lin Chen's close female friend, how could he have ended up like this? Before this so-called happy occasion began, the person involved, Miss Yun Manqing, had already stood up and expressed that she had already given her heart to someone else. Could it be that Bai Tianqi didn't want to take her by force? Yan Qianyun's words caused the Bai family's elders to break out in cold sweat. The yellow-robed elder waved his hand gloomily. I won't talk about principles with you. I can't win against your Yan family. Today this brat will pay with his life. It's useless no matter who comes. All right, then you guys better be prepared to fight with me and the consequences of opposing the Yan family. Yan Qianyun stood in front of Lin Chen. Some of the Bai family's elders felt their hair stand on end. They hurriedly transmitted their voices to persuade the yellow-robed elder. Every ancient family was well aware of the consequences of offending the Yan family. The gloomy yellow-robed elder hesitated for a moment. Our Bai family will remember this grudge. Lin Chen, Miss Yan of the Yan family, there will be a day when you will see the true strength of our Bai family. The yellow-robed elder coldly threatened. With a wave of his hand, he led the Bai family's experts away. Yan Qianyun frowned. In the past, even if the ancient families were dissatisfied with the Yan family, they didn't dare to say it out loud. But this yellow-robed elder actually dared to threaten Yan Qianyun? Could it be that there was really some big movement behind their backs? Perhaps, when I return to the family this time, I have to find a chance to divine the Bai family's fortune and intentions. Yan Qianyun thought in her heart. All the guests present were bewildered. Lin Chen and the others had actually killed the Bai family's holy son, but the Bai family seemed to be afraid of taking action and didn't dare to make a move. The ancient green dragon circled to Lin Chen's side. He and Yun Manqing looked at each other as if their minds were connected. Then, Lin Chen calmly announced, from today onward, Yun Manqing will cut off all ties with the Sun Saint Palace. Lin Chen's words caused a huge commotion. The elders of the Sun Saint Palace immediately stood up and questioned. Lin Chen, don't push us too far. Do you really think that our Sun Saint Palace is made of mud? Kid, how dare you? Our Sun Saint Palace has raised Yun Manqing for more than a dozen years. What right do you have to take her away? If they allowed Lin Chen to take Yun Manqing away in front of all the leaders of the forces in the spiritual state, the reputation of the Sun Saint Palace would plummet. Lin Chun could understand sacrificing a disciple's lifelong happiness for the benefit of the faction, but he would never forgive it. I won't let her stay in a place where she can be betrayed at any time. Lin Chen's expression was resolute. Yun Manqing felt a surge of warmth in her heart, and she tightened her grip on Lin Chen's hand. Yan Qianyun was slightly moved, and her green eyes sparkled. This item is the price for taking Manqing away. I think it's more than enough to repay the kindness of raising her for more than a dozen years. Lin Chen waved his hand, and the exquisite jade box turned into a beam of light. The Vice Palace Master of the Sun Saint Palace, a beautiful middle-aged woman, grabbed the box in the air and opened it. The pure light of the holy flame shot up into the sky, and everyone was shocked. It was the legendary holy flame seed. Chapter 385. It wasn't just the people of the Sacred Sun Temple. Even the VIPs present today had their eyes lit up. Many powerhouses were very clear about the mysterious effects of the sacred fire seed. Not only could it help one break through the bottleneck of the Yuan Venerate realm, but it could also allow one's life force to undergo a shocking transformation. The potential to reach the level of a saint. He actually has a sacred fire seed? Oh my God! This is a chance to become a saintess comparable to the saints of the 11-14 ancient families. Some powerhouses were eager to make a move, their hearts trembling with excitement. After the elders of the Sacred Sun Temple came to their senses, they quietly spread out to guard against anyone with ulterior motives. At that moment, Granny Qian, who had adopted Yun Manqing, flew over and said anxiously, "Lin Chen, don't be rash." Lin Chen glanced at her and cupped his fists solemnly. "Granny Qian, thank you for adopting Manqing, but I'm very disappointed in the Sacred Sun Temple. From today onwards, Manqing will no longer be a disciple of the Sacred Sun Temple." Granny Qian looked at Yun Manqing reluctantly. The latter jumped down from the ancient azure dragon's back and hugged Granny Qian. "Granny Qian, you are both my parent and my master. Manqing will never forget your great kindness." Yun Manqing stared at Granny Qian seriously, and the old woman smiled bitterly. "Forget it. Since you have made up your mind, then go. This little guy even killed a saint for you. I'm not afraid that he will bully you. You have done a lot for the Sacred Sun Temple since you were young. Now, it's time for you to pursue your own happiness." After bidding farewell to Granny Qian, Lin Chen left the Sacred Fire Mountain with Yun Manqing. When Lin Chen left, the elders of the Sacred Sun Temple were filled with regret. Their hearts were filled with complicated feelings, and their hearts were filled with endless regret. Not only had they lost the backing of the Bai families by Tianqi, but they had also personally offended a peerless genius who was countless times more monstrous than Bai Tianqi. The treasure he had casually given to the Sacred Sun Temple was a sacred fire seed. How terrifying was his background! As well as his strength and potential, everyone had witnessed it for themselves. If he was given a certain amount of time, he would definitely become a peak powerhouse of the spiritual state. It was precisely this kind of genius that they had forcefully rejected outside the door, and even offended him so many times. Perhaps we've made the most wrong decision. Holding the jade box containing the holy flame seed, the Vice Hall Master's face seemed to have aged a dozen years. Heavenly Song Academy, Battle Arena No. 4. Today was the young master-level ranking competition, a grand occasion that both the new and old students in the academy were paying attention to. In the battle space, Yu Linlin and Lu Lin stood side by side. Their expressions were cold, and their killing intent was unprecedentedly strong. "Take back your words. You have no right to insult Class Rep Lin Chen." The two top young merit cadets shrugged their shoulders and laughed mockingly. "Lin Chen's mistresses are really beautiful. Tell me, what benefits did Lin Chen give you to make you follow him so loyally? Isn't it better to follow our Senior Mo Feng? Senior Mo Feng is one of the purple merit ranks, a person who can get whatever he wants in the academy. The two women's expressions turned even colder. Yulinlin said coldly, "Shut your dog mouths. How can people like you understand Class Rep Lin Chen's sincerity and sincerity? Linlin, don't waste your breath on these people. If they don't pay the price today, they won't apologize." A purplish-gray poisonous intent flashed across Lu Lin Er's eyes, sinister and cold. In another battle space, Zhang Yu and Gu Qinfeng each fell on one side of the battle space. Both of them were covered in blood, and their qi and blood were weak. It was obvious that they didn't have the strength to continue fighting. However, the referee elder didn't shout for the battle to be stopped. Two young master-level seniors walked over slowly. One of them lifted Zhang Yu's head and sneered. "Trash like Lin Chen wants to fight against Senior Yi Juesheng? You're working for him, but you're not as good as following a dog." Ha! Bang! Roar! A blood dragon rushed out from Gu Qinfeng's body and attached itself to his spear. It stabbed furiously and severely injured one of the young master-level seniors. "Shut up! Your dog mouths." The one-armed Gu Qinfeng stood up again, and his eyes shone with a savage light like a lone wolf. "Since you want to die for that dog, don't blame Senior. Stop!" With a cold shout, an old figure barged into the battle space. Elder Yuan?" When the referee elder saw who it was, he immediately lowered his head guiltily. Elder Yuan rushed over to help the two of them up and said coldly, "This battle ends here. Lin Lang, where are we going next?" Yun Manqing asked curiously as she, Lin Chen, and Yen Qianyun stood on the back of the ancient azure dragon, facing the wind. "Return to the Heavenly Song Academy, of course. With my ability, I can definitely get you into the academy. You can stay in the academy from now on. Today's incident won't repeat itself." Lin Chen smiled and looked at Yen Qianyun. "Beauty Yen, what are your plans next? You finally remembered me? You're such a handsome man, aren't you? Not only did you stand up for the Han clan, but you also helped the Lung clan regain their dignity. You even killed a saint." Yen Qianyun said grumpily. This guy really knew how to scheme, making her deal with so many things for him. "Hee, since you want to cooperate, you must be sincere, right? Also, I can provide you with a clue." Lin Chen showed a rare serious expression. He told Yen Qianyun all the information he got from Bai Ruoyan, which was the Bai family's actions. The Bai family might be related to the Han family's destruction? They also have connections with the ancient families outside the spiritual state and have a lot of transactions? Yen Qianyun's green eyes flashed with thoughts. This information, combined with the attitude of the Bai family's elder, was very strange. It seems that investigating the Bai family is urgent. "This is my battle chi astral jade. Take it with you, and I'll be able to find you." Handing Lin Chen a light blue astral jade, Yen Qianyun jumped, teleported, and fled in the direction of the Yen family. This fortune-teller is really elusive. He comes and goes as he pleases. Putting away the astral jade, Lin Chen enjoyed some alone time with Yun Manqing. After the ancient azure dragon swallowed 3 beast cores, the number of dragon veins increased to 2,950. The two arrived at the territory of the Heavenly Song Academy. In less than half a day, Lin Chen and Yun Manqing officially returned to the Heavenly Song Academy. After putting away the ancient azure dragon, Lin Chen went straight to his dormitory. After more than a year, he really missed everyone. "Everyone, the most handsome person in the academy is back. Those who want an autograph, please line up on the left. Those who want a hug, please line up on the right. Only beauties are allowed. F***CK. Lin Chen had just landed in the dormitory. Before he could finish his words, he found that his exclusive dormitory building had been smashed into ruins. In addition, there were a lot of sticky things that looked like ferocious beast feces near the ruined dormitory, causing a foul smell to rise to the sky. It was obviously man-made. What happened? Lin Chen's heart was filled with an uneasy feeling. Chapter 386. Looks like someone's trying to stir up trouble. A cold glint flashed across Lin Chen's eyes. He grabbed with one hand, and a new student dozens of miles away was pulled over. Handsome, can you tell me what's going on here? Lin Chen asked with a smile. That new student was bewildered at first, then said in surprise. You're Senior Lin Chen? Ah, yes. You know me? I've seen your portrait. Senior, your dormitory building was destroyed by Senior Yi Juesheng and the rest of the Purple Master Rank students. Also, Senior Yen Haitang and Senior Gu Chenfeng, who were together with you, also encountered the seniors sent by Senior Mo Feng to make things difficult for you because of the Youth Master Ranked competition. Lin Chen grabbed the freshman's arm and asked, What are you talking about? What about the elders? Lin Chen remembered that Meng Qian Mo, one of the higher-ups of the academy, had promised him that as long as they were in the academy, he would never let anyone hurt Class 66. Now, it seemed that this promise was simply bullshit. The elders seemed to be organizing some competition, so many of the higher-ups and instructors in the academy have left for 2 months. Now, the 4 Purple Master Rank seniors in the academy can cover the sky with one hand, and we're all suffering. That new student said helplessly. Lin Chen was stunned. 4 Purple Master Rank students? Why did the academy suddenly have 4 more Purple Master Rank students? Who are the 4 Purple Master Rank students? Lin Chen asked. That new student pondered for a moment. I remember that they are Long Xiangyu, Yi Juesheng, Mo Feng, and Senior Fu Wanquan. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and said with a murderous look, Where are they now? Seems like they're all at Battle Arena number 4 today. Today is the Youth Master Ranked competition, and they seem to be watching it live. Boom! Lin Chen casually threw a low-level blue rank technique to that new student as a reward. Then, he pulled Yun Manqing and moved as fast as lightning. Arena 4, Sky City. The Young Merit Officer Ranking Tournament was considered a grand occasion in Heavenly Song Academy. Almost 90% of the Young Merit Officers would participate. However, this year's Youth Meritorious Medal Ranking competition had some interludes because of certain people, and that was the intervention of a Purple Merit Warrior. Right now, Heavenly Song Academy was the most outstanding academy in the spiritual state. With the appearance of the 4 Purple Meritorious Warriors, Heavenly Song Academy would be pushed to its peak in the past 10,000 years. In the same era, and even in the same year, 4 Purple Merits were born. This was unprecedented. There were 3 requirements for becoming a Purple Merit Officer. First, one must accumulate more than 20 million mission points. Secondly, one must be in the top 10 of the Blue Merit rank. 3. Clear the Purgatory Secret Realm. Not a single one of these 3 conditions could be omitted. The Purgatory Secret Realm was a secret realm created by the ancestors of Heavenly Song Academy. This secret realm was connected to many dangerous secret realms in the Jiuzhou continent, and there was a certain chance of obtaining the legendary Sacred Flame Seed. Every student only had one chance to enter the Purgatory Mystic Realm in their lifetime, and the mortality rate was extremely high. Only by fulfilling these 3 conditions would one become a true Purple Merit Cadet. Purple Merit Cadets were truly equivalent to the holy sons and saintesses of ancient families. The cultivation resources and privileges they enjoyed in the academy were not inferior to the holy sons and saintesses. In fact, the Purple Merit Cadets of Heavenly Song Academy were generally slightly stronger than the normal holy sons and saintesses of ancient families. This was because although the mortality rate in the Purgatory Mystic Realm was high, if one could return alive, they would receive an unprecedented adventure. Every time the Purgatory Mystic Realm opened, the students would be sent to the most dangerous secret realm, which was also the most suitable for them. There was a certain chance that the opportunities and encounters inside would be better than those of the Holy Fire level. Ordinary elders had to treat Blue Merit Cadets with caution, not to mention Purple Merit Cadet. Apart from the upper echelon elders and a few people who could restrain them, no one dared to provoke them. Therefore, the interference of the Purple Merit Cadets in the Youth Meritorious Medal Ranking Competition this time was completely under the table. In addition, many of the upper echelon elders were away on business, so the Youth Meritorious Medal Ranking Competition this time was rigged. That was, the originally random drawing of lots had become a prearranged battle. The people who were targeted were the students of Class 66. The opponents of Class 66 were all top-notch youth meritorious cadets that Mo Fong or Yi Juesheng had arranged beforehand. In the academy they were all ranked in the top 50. To Class 66, which had just entered the academy less than a year and a half ago and had just been promoted to youth meritorious cadets, it was impossible for them to defeat them. Those top-notch youth meritorious cadets even insulted Lin Chen and destroyed Lin Chen's exclusive dormitory building to enrage the students of Class 66. In the resting area of Battle Arena No. 4, Lin Chen rushed into the resting area in a hurry. Activating his purple-gold eyes slightly, he found everyone in one of the resting areas. When he pushed open the door of the resting area, Lin Chen saw many unconscious figures lying in the resting area. Yan Haitang, Lu Lin Gu Chenfeng, Zhang Yu, Ying Liang, Bai Juanhao, Qin Xiaofeng, Xiang Qinghong, Yu Linlin, and the rest were all unconscious. An unprecedented anger, like a flame that could burn the heavens, ignited Lin Chen's killing intent and fighting spirit. Yun Manqing hurriedly held his hand tightly. Only then did Lin Chen, who had almost been blinded by hatred, come to his senses and pat the beautiful woman's hand. Only Han Yizhi and Shangguan Bihan were left in the resting area. The moment the two of them saw Lin Chen, their despairing eyes glowed with new hope. Class monitor! Big brother Lin Chen! Han Yizhi held back her tears and said through gritted teeth, "Class monitor, needless to say, I already know." Lin Chen raised his hand, his expression incomparably calm. Lin Chen raised his hand and wiped away Shangguan Bihan's tears. He walked towards everyone and sent a wisp of battle qi into their bodies to check on their injuries. Everyone's injuries were extremely serious. Some of their meridians were broken, and their bones were shattered. It would even affect their cultivation for the rest of their lives. Fortunately, if he relied on his alchemy skills, the probability of curing everyone was still very high. Class monitor, no one in our Class 66 surrendered. Han Yizhi's eyes were red as she choked with sobs. Lin Chen took out a few bottles of pills from his spirit storage ring and handed them to Shangguan Bihan. "Take these pills for everyone, then take everyone and run as far as you can." Shangguan Bihan's slender hands trembled as she took the pills. Just as she was about to speak, Lin Chen hugged her and Han Yizhi. "Don't worry, leave the rest to me." As soon as he finished speaking, the door to the resting area was pushed open again. Elder Yuan hurriedly rushed over with the elders of the alchemy department. When he saw Lin Chen, he couldn't help but feel happy. Then, he felt guilty and worried. "Little guy, Elder Yuan, help me evacuate everyone in the arena in half an hour. After half an hour, the lives of those who remain here will be up to the heavens." Lin Chen's eyes were brewing with monstrous anger and battle intent. He wanted to kill, and the ones he wanted to kill were purple warriors. Chapter 387. Elder Yuan's body trembled. With his quasi-venerable cultivation, he could faintly feel the terrifying aura that made his soul tremble. This little guy, in just a year's time, what happened to his body? Elder Yuan broke out in cold sweat. Unless it was before he was injured, he wouldn't be able to stop Lin Chen with his current broken body. Inside Battle Arena 4, 140 students stared at the image projected by the demon ice stone. In one of the battle spaces, two beautiful and graceful figures were facing off against two green merit warriors. As a purple merit warrior, Long Xiangyu, who was sitting at the back of the audience, narrowed his eyes. Who would have thought that these two women really didn't die? Could it really be that Lin Chen fellow who saved them? The two beautiful figures in the battle space were Su Lan and Su Lan from Class 66. Back then, Long Xiangyu had attempted to possess the two girls' bodies, but the two girls were chased and committed suicide on the spot, causing him to lose interest. Looks like this time, I might be able to get my hands on these two girls again. Let's seal their battle qi and do it. Long Xiangyu's handsome face revealed a sinister and greedy expression. Beside him, Fu Wanquan frowned slightly. He came here this time to investigate Lin Chen's situation. He was interested in the characteristic runes that Lin Chen had been using and wanted to steal this secret technique. As for Mo Feng and Yi Juesheng, they simply wanted to suppress the people around Lin Chen. Yi Juesheng's cousin had framed his teammates during a mission and falsely claimed the mission reward, so he was killed by Lin Chen. This caused him to personally deal with the people around Lin Chen. Looks like there's still no useful information. Fu Wanquan was about to stand up when suddenly, his and the other three purple merit warriors' gazes froze at the same time. In the battle space, a figure flashed past and the two girls disappeared. Someone broke into the battle space? Who is it? Who dares to interfere with the Green Merit Warriors' ranking competition? Just as the students and elders in the battle arena noticed the abnormality, an elder suddenly exclaimed, "What's that?" Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. It was located right above battle arena number 4. A silver-robed figure stood in the air above the battle arena. It was Lin Chen. His eyes were cold and indifferent. Earth-based battle aura flowed as his dragon power surged and condensed. Earth Calamity Battle Body. All they saw was Lin Chen leaping into the air, stomping his feet fiercely, and crashing down fiercely. Boom! The Milky Way shook and the universe shattered. The entire vast sky island trembled and shook violently. The shocking godly power that could move mountains and fill seas was mixed with the weight of thousands of mountains. It was as if Mount Tai was crashing down, crashing onto the space barrier of the battle arena. The spatial barrier that could withstand a Yuan Venerate had been shattered by Lin Chen. Alone, his silver robes fluttered as he landed in the battle arena. Lin Chen's eyes were like lightning, sharp and incisive as they swept across the entire area. At this moment, the expressions of the 4 purple merit rank cadets were extremely fascinating. Unrelated cadets, leave immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Lin Chen's Transcendence Realm spiritual transmission was transmitted to everyone's minds, containing boundless deterrence. In front of this spiritual power, many green merit rank and young merit rank cadets deeply felt that they were as insignificant as ants. What happened? He even broke the space barrier of the battle arena? Something's not right, run. Many cadets began to flee frantically. The spiritual transmission from before had already revealed the intent to kill. Lin Chen turned to look at the 4 purple merit rank cadets on the highest platform. "Get down here," Lin Chen said indifferently as he looked directly at the 4 of them. Who is this brat? Yi Juesheng couldn't react in time. Mo Feng sneered. "He's the Lin Chen that you've been looking for." "He's Lin Chen?" Long Xiangyu was shocked as he scanned Lin Chen with interest. "Lin Chen, what are you doing?" A Yuan Venerate Realm elder recognized Lin Chen and angrily rebuked him. "All elders, I suggest that you start covering the retreat of the other cadets and be responsible for all the consequences." The 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear appeared in Lin Chen's hand as he looked at the sneering Yi Juesheng. Hey, don't tell me that you, a peak quasi-venerable, want to fight with the 4 of us? Do you know what a purple merit rank is?" Yi Juesheng laughed maniacally as if he was looking at a clown. The 2 blue merit rank cadets beside him sneered. "Lin Chen, kneel down and kowtow 3 times to our senior Yi. Perhaps he will be merciful and spare your worthless life." Fu Wanquan suddenly stood up as boundless sword light surged in his eyes. "Wait a moment, this person's head is mine." He had coveted Lin Chen's secret for a long time. Now that he had become a purple merit rank cadet, he naturally wanted to obtain it. Lin Chen, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Instead, you barged into hell. Do you think you are invincible just because of your body-tempering ability? This time, I will properly deal with you. Mo Feng was the first to jump into the arena. Mo Feng had framed him many times in the sacred fire realm. Lin Chen had to kill this person without a doubt. As for Long Xiangyu, he had sold everyone from Class 66 to buy Tianqi and crippled one of Gu Qinfeng's arms. In addition, the Su sisters had almost lost their lives in his hands. Lin Chen also had to kill this person. Yi Juesheng had arranged for many blue merit rank cadets to severely injure everyone from Class 66 during the ranking competition. If Old Yuan hadn't intervened, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Lin Chen also wouldn't let this person off. Out of the 4 purple merit ranks, 3 of them had a grudge with Lin Chen. This battle would definitely end with the fall of one side. Only Fu Wanquan, whose demon sect had once injured by Ruoyan, didn't have much of a grudge against Lin Chen for wiping out the demon sect. However, if he dared to interfere, Lin Chen wouldn't show any mercy either. Lin Chen activated his purple-gold eyes slightly and discovered that the aura of the 9 brilliance transformations had suddenly risen from Lin Chen's body. "Don't worry, I will take the lives of the 3 of you today." His Dantian's natal palace instantly expanded as he temporarily stepped into the Yuan Venerate realm. No, to be precise, it wasn't a complete Yuan Venerate realm. A complete Battle Qi natal palace formed a small world of its own. Lin Chen had merely increased the might of his Battle Qi. Boom! A streak of lightning flashed by. In almost an instant, the tip of the 5 Dragons Emperor Dynasty spear smashed into Mo Feng's head. Bang! Mountains collapsed and the earth cracked apart, sweeping out in all directions. The battle arena that was hundreds of thousands of feet wide was split in half by Lin Chen's spear. SSS. Oh my god, what terrifying strength! Not good. Quickly cover the students and evacuate from this place. The only 2 Yuan Venerate Realm elders present gasped in shock. The 2 of them wouldn't be able to stop Lin Chen with this level of destructive power. Ha ha ha. Lin Chen, your secret belongs to me. I am no longer the same as before. Hand over your opportunity. Sword of the 9 provinces. You want to take the life of Yi Juesheng? I will let you pay for my cousin's life now. Yi Juesheng and Fu Wanquan joined the battle in an instant. In an instant, the entire Sky Island shook violently as an earth-shattering aura erupted. The 2 Yuan Venerate elders retreated while looking back. Their pupils constricted as unprecedented fear appeared in their eyes. Amidst the dust and debris, a young man wielding the 5-colored dragon spear was fighting 4 purple merits alone. Lin Chen had single-handedly challenged 4 peerless purple merit geniuses. An unprecedented battle in the history of the Sky Song Academy had begun. No matter who won or lost, this battle would definitely shake the entire spiritual state. Chapter 388. After Lin Chen's doppelganger brought Su Lan and her sister out of Sky Island in Battle Arena No. 4, he immediately turned around and left. Bang! While the instructors and elders were covering the students who were retreating from the battle arena, an earth-shattering battle aura fluctuation erupted behind them. This terrifying momentum began to spread to the higher levels of the Heavenly Song Academy. Before long, the entire academy would be shaken. All the students still had lingering fears. If they had retreated a little slower, perhaps they would have died without a complete corpse by now. All the students have retreated. What's the situation now? Isn't that student Lin Chen? Why did he suddenly appear and fight with the purple meritocrats? Many elders and students were gathered in a circle, and it was already a mess. Yet, such a huge incident had happened in the academy, and most of the powerful elders had gone out to prepare for the assembly. What the hell happened? Su Lan and Su Lan, who were confused, asked Han Yiji and Shangguan Bihan anxiously. Many students and elders also looked at Han Yiji and Shangguan Bihan. The two of them looked at each other, and Han Yiji said solemnly, "The class monitor is back, and he wants to seek justice for us. Plus, he has a grudge with all the purple meritocrats, and he wants to fight the four of them alone. With Lin Chen's personality, he definitely won't let them go easily. Perhaps someone will fall in today's battle." Hearing this, the students all sucked in a cold breath. Countless people felt a chill run from the bottom of their feet to the top of their heads, and their hair stood on end. Those were the purple meritocrats, legendary existences that could compare to or even surpass the saints and saintesses. Lin Chen actually wanted to fight 4 purple meritocrats alone? Icy sky finger. Great prison meteoric wind finger. 2 shocking finger lights, one blue and one white, collided with each other, and the battle aura exploded, shattering a large area of the spatial crystal walls. Yi Jueshing held the mid-grade rank 6 demon crippling blade, and the blade light flashed from his hand like the shadow of a demonic tiger. The blade light slashed toward Lin Chen, covering 100,000 feet of space and sealing off all of his escape routes. The dragon spear was like lightning, and the devil battle thousand thunder was like 10,000 bolts of lightning. The tip of the spear and the edge of the blade pierced through all the saber light. Golden demon slash. Golden gung chi flashed like lightning, like a meteor breaking through the sky, and streaked past Lin Chen's back. The elusive Mo Feng revealed a cold smile. Just when he thought that he had succeeded, an earthen yellow rock helmet appeared behind Lin Chen's back. A 9 heavens berserk thunder struck out furiously, heading straight for Mo Feng. Mo Feng's expression changed slightly. He quickly waved the golden dagger in his hand, drawing out a wave-like golden aura that cut through Lin Chen's 9 heavens, wild thunder. The sword was like a thunderclap, and the snow-white waterfall that was thousands of meters long glowed with a sharpness that could cut through the universe. It furiously slashed down at Lin Chen from 3 directions in the shape of a triangle. Bang! Clang! When the sword light cut through the Wan Yuexian armor, Lin Chen's figure had already disappeared from where he stood. An afterimage transformed into lightning. Fu Wanchuan's eyebrows were like swords as he pierced the 10,000 springs sword behind him. Clang, clang, clang. Lin Chen, who was in the air, waved and smashed all the way as he fought fiercely with Fu Wanquan. The golden gung chi spear and sword shadows that filled the sky intertwined and danced chaotically, dazzling the eyes. In just a breath's time, the two of them had already exchanged more than 10 moves. Their speed was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. How is this kid's strength so terrifying? Could it be that he also passed purgatory? Indeed, my intuition was right. If I don't kill this guy, I'm afraid that he will threaten my position in the academy. Yi Jueshing and Mo Feng's killing intent was suddenly revealed, but Long Xiangyu already had the intention to leave. Damn it, I'm just doing this for a woman. If you guys like to fight so much, then go ahead and fight. Long Xiangyu flashed through the air and actually turned to flee on the spot. However, just as he left the battle arena, a dragon claw that cut off Jiang Hai swept past like lightning. Fury sweeping the sky. Boom. Bang. The dragon claw sent Long Xiangyu flying, who was caught off guard, crashing him to the ground. Long Xiangyu had a precious artifact protecting his body, so he only suffered light injuries, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. What's going on? When he raised his head, a 10,000-foot-long azure dragon was floating in the air, glaring at him angrily. There was nothing in that space just now. When did this azure dragon run to where? Before Long Xiangyu had time to react, a flash of lightning swept over at lightning speed. Lightning surged, dark energy swirled, and a dark dragon palm fiercely slammed out. Long Xiangyu punched back, and an earth-shattering energy wave exploded between the two of them. The terrifying energy wave shattered a large number of buildings outside the battle arena, instantly turning them into dust. Bang! 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 Long Xiangyu was forced back by the dark dragon palm, and when he finally focused his eyes, he saw a figure standing proudly on top of the ancient azure dragon's head. Long Xiangyu's pupils shrank. There was actually another Lin Chen? Looking at his strength, he didn't seem like a fake at all. You won't have the chance to leave. The phantom doppelganger's gaze was deep, and it was exactly the same as Lin Chen's. That's not necessarily true. Long Xiangyu blasted a palm toward the ancient azure dragon. Inside the battle arena, the wind swept away the clouds, and the sky darkened. The battle arena, which could hold hundreds of thousands of people, had already been torn apart and turned into ruins. Golden gung qi attached to the golden battle spear, turning into a snow-white light that pierced wildly. Blade qi crisscrossed, and sword shadows filled the sky. Dazzling collisions occurred, and the aftermath of the energy waves lifted the ground again and again. Lin Chen alone blocked Fu Wanquan and Yi Juesheng, while Mo Feng hid in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack, but he failed every time. Lin Chen's spiritual power and purple-golden eyes were fully on guard against his sneak attack, so Mo Feng had no chance at all. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and the ancient azure dragon and the phantom doppelganger charged into the battle arena with Long Xiangyu. Pure strength erupted, and the dragon's spear rotated rapidly, blocking Mo Feng's golden gung qi blade that was secretly slashing out. Lin Chen retreated quickly, and Bu Ruolei's shadow flashed, dodging Fu Wanquan and Yi Juesheng's attacks consecutively. He leaped onto the ancient azure dragon's head, joined his phantom doppelganger, and looked down at the four purple warriors. The four of them each occupied one side, and in the previous exchange they were all injured. Lin Chen's consumption was also unusually high. Fu Wanquan, since you're courting death, then I'll take care of you as well. The moment he activated his mental cultivation technique, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth within a radius of 10,000 feet was absorbed into Lin Chen's body. The four of them looked serious. Even they, who had just returned from the Purgatory secret realm, couldn't compare with the speed of absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. While absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, Lin Chen didn't stay idle. He and his phantom doppelganger, which had condensed 1 point of mid-grade rune energy, quickly formed seals. System, I want to upgrade the recharge rune. Consumed 1 rune to upgrade stone. Recharge rune has been upgraded to level 4. Spiritual power surged out like a vortex, and Lin Chen and his doppelganger instantly formed 4 Azura demon images. It's a spiritual attack, Yi Juesheng shouted, and the 4 of them attacked together, simultaneously using defensive battle techniques. Azura's Fury. The 4 Azura demon images burst forth with a spiritual attack that could shatter mountains and rivers. This time, Lin Chen didn't just use his phantom doppelganger to perform Azura's Fury with him. He also directly activated the level 4 recharge rune, and the Azura demon images of his doppelganger and his original body had their attack power increased by 4 times. When one multiplied by 4, the power and range of the attack would be at the level of destroying heaven and earth. Chapter 389. Ice Shadow Spirit Sword. 3 streaks of extreme ice sword chi lined up in the air. The cold air froze the void, and the sharp sword intent caused the crystal walls in the surrounding area to collapse. Sky Universe Dragon Roar. A red dragon phantom appeared above Long Xiangyu's head. The dragon opened its mouth and let out a dragon roar that could destroy mountains and rivers. 10,000 slaughter art. Thousands upon thousands of dark gold bolts rained down like a violent storm, destroying all the buildings in the arena. They swept past at extreme speed like snowflakes. Soul extinction, sky-splitting slash. A gray battle blade that could split heaven and earth appeared. It was tens of thousands of feet long and pierced the 9 heavens. As the gray battle blade slashed down from the void, it tore open an abyss-like crack in the crystal walls. The 4 people's ultimate battle techniques collided with Lin Chen's Azura's fury. A moment ago, everything was silent. The next moment, an earth-shattering energy storm engulfed the entire Sky Island. Bang, 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 boom. An earth-shattering explosion occurred. It was as if space and time were reversed. The Sky Island that Battle Arena No. 4 belonged to, an island that could accommodate tens of millions of people, was shattered into pieces by the huge energy storm. The cracks in the crystal walls extended for thousands of miles and extended all the way. The airflow collapsed and converged toward the center of the explosion. All the light in the direction of Battle Arena No. 4 was distorted and dimmed. In that space, it was as if even light couldn't penetrate it. It became the most chaotic area in the world. The entire Heavenly Song Academy could hear it clearly. Not good. If this continues, the entire academy will suffer heavy losses. The Yuan Venerate Realm Elders had grim expressions. At this moment, no one could stop the 5 people who were fighting. Before the students had time to be shocked, several figures charged out from the chaotic space at high speed. The person in the lead had an azure dragon beside him. His silver robe fluttered as if he was a god of war. His dragon spear pierced into the center of the 4 people. Wielding the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand, Lin Chen charged forward and fought alongside his illusionary doppelgangers, entangling with the 4 purple warriors. The 5 people fell into an unprecedented chaotic battle. After images filled the sky. Saber light and sword chi, spear light and dagger shadows danced wildly among the 5 people. All the students were dumbfounded. Lin Chen wasn't the least bit afraid of the 4 purple merit level opponents. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all. The 5 of them engaged in a fierce battle with the azure dragon protecting them. Wherever they passed, the void was shattered. The sky darkened and the earth darkened. The airflow collapsed and spun violently as if the end of the world had arrived. They're fighting outside the academy? It's over. They are going to attack the spiritual state. Elder Jing, what should we do? Some elders were burning with anxiety. More and more mentors and elders stopped what they were doing and gathered outside the 4th fighting arena. Hurry up and inform the elders who are in seclusion. We can't stop them with just the few of us, Elder Jing said seriously. They were already doing their best to protect the students. If they wanted to stop these 5 people, they would need at least 6 4th-level Yuan Venerate Martialists. Now that a large number of mentors and high-level elders were out, they could only awaken the Grand Elder who was in seclusion. Outside the Heavenly Song Academy, 30,000 li from the Great Wasteland. In the air, the 4 purple merits exchanged glances and were about to split up to delay Lin Chen's movements. The space suddenly trembled, and 2 illusionary doppelgangers were formed. What? He can actually summon 2 such powerful doppelgangers! Long Xiangyu and Yi Juesheng exclaimed in unison. Including the doppelganger from before, Lin Chen had used a total of 2 points of mid-grade rune energy to summon 3 illusionary doppelgangers. Dark Dragon Palm. A palm shot out like a falling star. The 2 phantom avatars used the Black Dragon Palm together, forcing back the other 3 people besides Fu Wanquan. Extreme Shadow Meteor. 100 Gung Battle Dragon. Fu Wanquan's sword cut through the sky, and streaks of meteor-like sword shadows pierced out. Lin Chen quickly brandished his golden war spear and activated his gold calamity battle body. Countless golden spear lights danced and spun, entangling with the impenetrable sword shadows. Azura's fury. 1,000 kill massacre. The illusionary doppelgangers suddenly burst forth with a spiritual attack that could shatter mountains and rivers, colliding with Mo Feng's dark golden saber aura. Azure Dragon Soul-Rending Claw. Demonic Dragon Sky-Swallowing Claw. Long Xiangyu's Black Dragon aura turned into 5 claw marks and collided with the Green Dragon aura. The saber aura was unstoppable, and streaks of wind-splitting leg shadows swept past like blades. One could only see the shadows, but not the real person. The speed was unimaginably fast. Divine Shadow Wind Demon Kick. The doppelgangers flashed quickly and used the astral trampling thunder fighting technique. Sweeping their legs out like a whip, Yi Juesheng slashed with his saber, cutting off the wind-splitting leg shadows. The doppelgangers were like flickering lights and passing shadows, and the Wind Calamity Battle Body and Thunder Calamity Battle Body were activated. His movement technique was like thunder, and countless wind-splitting leg shadows attacked like a storm, heavily surrounding Yi Juesheng. He immediately held his saber in a reverse grip and swung it back, slashing, turning, and slashing horizontally, all in one go. A large amount of saber aura bloomed like flowers, cutting off the wind-splitting leg shadows that surrounded him. Yi Juesheng didn't even have the time to catch his breath before another wave of kicks came at him from all directions. Damn it! How can his doppelgangers be so strong? Yi Juesheng was so angry that he gritted his teeth. The saber in his hand flashed continuously, and the saber light did not stop. A grayish-white talisman disappeared in Lin Chen's palm. Fu Wanquan, who was fighting with Lin Chen's main body, suddenly shouted, "Quick, use your defensive techniques!" Just as he finished speaking, Fu Wanquan used his ultimate sword technique. His sword slashed out, and a long river of sword light swept out, shattering the nebula. Just as everyone activated their battle chi, Lin Chen's palm struck out. Slow rune. 2 points of mid-grade rune energy disappeared, and 4 grayish-white talismans fell from the sky, suppressing everything. Boom. The 4 people's battle chi was suddenly suppressed by 50 to 60%, and their battle power was greatly reduced. Fu Wanquan's ultimate sword technique, that he had activated beforehand, instantly slashed out, forcing back 2 of Lin Chen's doppelgangers. Then, it was pierced through by the 5 dragons' Emperor Spear. The golden battle spear suddenly slashed through the void, and the golden aura of Gung Jin sent the 4 people flying. One spear swept away 4 people. Bang! The 4 of them turned into meteors and plummeted down from the sky above the great wilderness into a few mountain peaks, destroying the sect-protecting grand formation of this place. Who are you? How dare you destroy the protective spell of the Carefree Building? Aren't they Mo Feng, Fu Wanquan, and Yi Juesheng, the Purple Warriors of the Heavenly Song Academy? The Lord of the Carefree Building couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the 4 people who had fallen in his territory. Before he could react, a green dragon appeared. The silver-robed young man held a golden dragon spear and smashed it at the 4 people angrily. With a swing of the spear, a mountain peak was crushed, and a python-like crack was torn open on the ground. The 4 people ignored their internal injuries and used all their strength to break Lin Chen's slow rune. Then, they all used their body movement skills to retreat into the sky. Suddenly, a fierce battle broke out in the void. The 5 people moved at high speed while fighting fiercely. Everywhere they passed, the entire world was instantly plunged into a chaotic battle. Seeing this, all the members of the Carefree Building were dumbfounded. Chapter 390. Where did this young man come from? Oh my God, am I seeing things? He dared to challenge the 4 purple warriors of the Heavenly Song Academy alone? Every single one of them is comparable to the holy sons and holy daughters. The minds of the entire Carefree Building went blank. Blood Prison City, Spirit State. It was a cloudless day, but a bolt from the blue. The thunderous explosion shook the sky above the Blood Prison City. Hundreds of millions of civilians trembled in fear, thinking that they were being judged by the heavens. The second level Yuan Venerate City Lord of the Blood Prison City hadn't even finished enjoying himself when he was alarmed by this aura that was tens of thousands of miles away. His clothes were disheveled, and he rushed out of the city with the sky-shaking hammer in his hand, cursing at the sky. Damn it! Which bastard dares to invade my blood prison city? F***CK. Quick, activate the Great City Barrier Array. The City Lord of the Blood Prison City was furious for less than 3 seconds when he saw the chaotic battle tens of thousands of miles away. He was so scared that his scalp went numb. He shouted 3 times to activate the Great City Barrier Array. The higher-ups in the city immediately activated the array, and a pale blue bowl-shaped shield covered the entire blood prison city. F***CKU. A bunch of good-for-nothings. I haven't even gone in yet. The city lord, who was blocked outside the blood prison city, was sweating profusely and hurriedly running away. Chi. Bang. The sky collapsed and the sky cracked. That day, the residents of the blood prison city saw an unforgettable scene. Azura's Fury. Dark Dragon Palm. Thousand Spring Silver Moon Slash. Underworld Claw of Life and Death. The sword light curved like a crescent moon, and the saber light flashed. A giant claw of death from hell brazenly collided with the violent and overbearing primary spirit attack. The azure dragon danced wildly, and the figures flashed. The 5 figures intertwined and flashed, and their afterimages filled the sky as they fought fiercely. The strength displayed by each of them was far beyond their imagination. Some of the more powerful people were even more frightened when they saw the clues. They vaguely saw that one of them was fighting the other 4 at the same time. Cloud Dragon Mountain Range, Spirit State. Ha ha ha, my Cloud Spirit Dragon has finally broken through to the 6th level. Now, our Cloud Dragon sect is one step closer to becoming a first-rate force. In the void, a snow-white cloud dragon that was thousands of feet long was coiled up. Its dragon might was vast and mighty, and it was awe-inspiring. All the elders of the Cloud Dragon sect shouted in unison. Congratulations, sect leader. Bang! Like a sudden clap of thunder, the clouds were torn apart, and an azure dragon appeared out of thin air. 5 figures flashed at extreme speed and appeared several 100,000 feet high in the sky. A terrifying wave of energy swept towards the Cloud Dragon sect like a raging tide. The Cloud Spirit Heavenly Dragon, which had been insufferably arrogant a moment ago, was now trembling on the ground like a little worm. The Cloud Spirit Heavenly Dragon was so scared that it wet itself on the spot. The other experts of the Cloud Dragon sect were so frightened by the chaotic aura that flashed across the sky that they didn't even dare to move. Western region of the Spirit State. Transforming Mountain, 8 Barren Palace, Sacred Dragon Gate, Red Moon Lake, Black Eagle Sword Sect in the northern region of the Spirit State, the Breaking Blade Sect, the Pavilion of 5 Ministers, the Demon Tiger Sect, the Black Heaven Palace, the Silver Moon Sword Sect, the Frost Jade Palace. The 5 of them fought from the Heavenly Song Academy to the western region, and then all the way to the northern region. Countless first-rate forces were caught up in the shockwaves of this battle, which they had never experienced before. Although there were no casualties, all the sects felt unprecedented fear. On this day, the spirit state changed, and the whole world was shaken. Someone recognized the identities of 4 of the 5. They were the 4 most famous purple meritorious warriors of the Heavenly Song Academy this year. What's going on? Why are the 4 purple meritorious warriors of the Heavenly Song Academy fighting? Who's the one fighting with them? What happened? Quick! Send someone to the Heavenly Song Academy to ask for the reason. F***CK. These little bastards destroyed the entire mountain range of my sect. I want to see how the Heavenly Song Academy will compensate my 5 ministers' pavilion. Northern region of the Spirit State, Mystic Heaven Palace. The two elders of the mystic Heaven Palace, who had been alerted by the battle, stood in the void, dumbfounded. They looked at the ruins of the mountain range and the many treasure lands that had been razed to the ground, dumbfounded. Who has the guts to cause trouble in my mystic Heaven Palace? A fourth-level Yuan Venerate Realm Elder questioned the current palace master furiously. The palace master smiled bitterly and reported, "Elder, a few students of the Heavenly Song Academy are fighting." Hearing this, the two elders were even more dumbfounded. Students fighting? For mountain ranges had been razed to the ground. How was this a fight between students? If those old ancestors who had died knew about this, they would probably be so angry that their coffins would fly off. You call this a fight between students? F*ck them. I'll go catch all these little bastards. The hall master hurriedly hugged his own Grand Elder and said with cold sweat flowing down his back, "My good Grand Elder, please don't provoke those little ancestors. You can't stop them. I'm a fourth-level Yuan Venerate. Can't I stop a few little bastards? They only used a few moves to flatten our mountain range. What?" On this day, the entire southern, western, and northern regions of the spirit state were turned upside down. An unprecedented storm swept through more than half of the spirit state. At the Heavenly Song Academy, 20 hours had passed since the battle between Lin Chun and the others. How are you going to compensate us for our losses? More than 100 of our disciples were injured. Even our cultivation mystic realms were destroyed. More than half of the Cold Jade Palace's Guanghan spiritual land was destroyed, causing more than half of the disciples to be unable to cultivate. Who will bear this loss? More and more powerhouses arrived at the Heavenly Song Academy to complain. If not for the Academy's strong foundation and the extraordinary experience of the elders, they would have temporarily calmed down all the powerhouses who came to complain. However, more and more powerhouses came to complain. In the end, even Elder Jing felt his scalp go numb. Just where were the 5 of them fighting? Almost 1/3 of the first-rate forces in the spirit state had been summoned. If this continues, the entire spirit state will be turned upside down by these little bastards. Elders, are you still in seclusion? Just as the elders were about to lose control of the situation, more than 100 streaks of light streaked across the sky. Figures with tyrannical auras arrived at the academy and landed in the sky. The powerhouses who came to ask for compensation instantly fell silent. This group of people were all the higher-ups of the academy, the elders. Each of them had the strength of an extremely powerful Yuan Venerate. If 2 or 3 of these high-level elders were present, Lin Chun and the others wouldn't have fought. When the elders who were waiting bitterly saw the return of the upper echelons, tears flowed down their cheeks. It's so lively. What happened? Why is everyone here as guests at my academy? Hiss. What happened? Why was Battle Arena number 4 demolished? Some of the high-level elders who had just returned had a bad feeling and immediately inquired. Elder Yao, you're back. Our students are fighting. Elder Zheng wiped his tears and hurriedly said, The students are fighting? What kind of students could have such terrifying destructive power? Could it be the purple merit level? The white-haired Elder Yao furrowed his brows. It's not just the purple merit level. All the purple merit level students are fighting with that Lin Chin student. Elder Zheng's reply caused the eyebrows of the high-level elders who had just returned to the academy to jump. After a simple explanation of the cause and effect, the high-level elders were shocked and their expressions were very interesting. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.